What is up, Nintendo Land? Welcome to Nintendo Open Air Podcast. GameStop continues to sing the praises of the Switch, and this time it's not only about their boost in sales, but about the future of the console. As we continue to endure the software drought, clearly they know something we do not. Later tonight, we'll be discussing the current drought, what these unknown items may be, and what this will mean to the future of the Switch. But as always, before we begin tonight, let me introduce our panel. We have Mo, Z, and Max all with us as usual. And we have special guests joining us once again. Barry, welcome back to the podcast.
And thank you. Good to be here.
And
hey, Barry.
And of course, I'm your host, Jason. So tonight, we start off with some fresh news. Fresh news that is simply off the hook. And of course, I'm talking about Splatoon news, because we never talk about Splatoon on this podcast. So, Nintendo of Germany has apparently let the information slide a little bit, and we have a release date for the Octo expansion, July 13th. I don't know about you guys, that's a lot later than I was expecting.
Yeah, it's certainly. All of a sudden, they're announcing stuff way in advance, which makes me feel like they're trying to catch up on their release schedule. Like they had a big one out of the gate for the first year. They've gotten behind. And so now it's like, well, wait, we still got this coming. We still got this coming. But it's so far out, guys. Like, okay, we got Labo in May. Like, you know what I mean? It's like they're trying to distract people from the fact that, hey, there ain't nothing coming out for the next 6 months. Like, hello, Wii U.
It's a little disappointing to me that Nintendo is one of those companies that almost exclusively will be ready to take money for their DLC before they ever say when the DLC is coming. Like Zelda, it was just like summer and winter. Like
that's true. You don't. Yeah, they had vague dates, but
I think even with Mario Kart 8 on Wii U, I think it was that way too. They were just like, it's coming eventually.
Right. No, you're right.
It was a long time.
It was, and you're right. I don't think it was specifically defined before they let you pay for it.
No. And with each of them, it's been, here's a trinket, some different colored Yoshis or Shy Guys, or a couple of random chests. Yeah. And then
a Switch t-shirt.
There'll be a couple of waves coming later.
Yep. Trust us, guys. It's worth it.
It's always something worthless that they give you. The trinket is a Switch shirt, or even the shirts in Splatoon, or what is it, a shirt and... I even forget what the other piece
Here's the thing.
Headphones or something.
Headphones,
that's right.
Ruby.
Yeah, that's right. The first time they blow it, though, it's over, I think. Right? The first time that they all right, cough up your $20 and, okay, this is crap, people won't do it anymore.
That almost happened with Breath of the Wild. If it wasn't for that second half of Breath of the Wild, I would have been very disappointed.
I agree. A lot of people didn't like the first. I don't know. I mean, the trials, the Master Trials thing wasn't for me, but I do accept that there's a certain class of people that was all about that.
Yeah, but would they not pay for it?
Well, again, that and the other.
Although, some of the other features were cool. Like I thought it was cool to be able to see like where I've walked.
Oh, the tracking and
and set save points, even if that stuff should have been there before. But
Octo
expansion seems pretty good.
Also, with that first one, you got the hero mode, which, if nothing else, gave you a second save file.
Yeah,
that's true.
Talking about,
or so did creating another account.
But I think the Octo expansion looks like it's going to be fairly substantial.
We've seen footage at least.
That's true, which is more than we can say for Breath of the Wild stuff.
That's true. Breath of the Wild, it was way on faith. Mario Kart, we knew kind of what we were getting.
We didn't even really see the Breath of the Wild footage until basically the night it released, for the most part.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. The second one, at least.
Yeah. So
I guess
at least we've seen some stuff. Yeah, at least they've got a trailer for it. And that'll be, a year after the game came out?
Yep.
Yeah.
So they've had time, and it's something that's not online specific, I'm guessing. I mean, you have to be able to get online to download it. But
in terms of where it'll fit into the game, that area to the right of the hub, there seems to be a little staircase going downwards. You think that's the entrance to the subway or whatever?
There's a subway. If you know that little cafe that Spike's at, that's to the right of Merch, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's right over there. There's a little subway that they're gonna let you down in. So I don't know. Yeah, I'll
Not
probably end up
stuff.
picking it up.
Hmm.
Did you order it yet, Jason?
I haven't yet, but I will too.
Okay.
I'll definitely do it
Yeah.
to get the free items.
Yeah, I'll be doing it too.
And there was one other little tidbit that was announced in this, and that it will include amiibo support, which is interesting. I'm not really sure what they're going to do with that.
You'll notice I
Yes.
didn't give my full-throated support of this. I'm not sure if I'm going to download this.
Did
Like,
the Marine and Pearls already come out? Do we even know what they
No.
do yet?
No.
No, they aren't out. They finally announced the date they're coming out with the expansion.
Yeah, same day.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, it's the same day?
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
same day. Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Oh,
I
that
thought it was really weird that they spent so much time in that last direct talking about Splatoon 2 and didn't even mention those amiibo were on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had them pre-ordered already for a while because I'm an idiot. But yeah, they finally got a date.
Yeah. We should just start an amiibo club where we all buy an amiibo and just mail them to each other.
Yeah.
You know what? What really needs to happen? One of us needs to invest in that little setup with the burner, and where you
the NFC chip. Yeah.
Yeah, the little NFC chip thing, and you can just get the chips for like $1
Yeah.
or 50 cents each, and just do the read writer.
You hear that, Nintendo? Where's your anti-counterfeiting on amiibo?
They don't need it because enough people are buying them for the, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
for
guys
the
are
figures.
the oddballs.
Yeah.
I'm not, because I'm not even buying them for Animal Crossing stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
they
just bought 'em
practically give those away.
to collect them. I know, and the Animal
Yeah.
Crossing ones, don't even talk to me. I paid mostly full price.
Hey,
For
I have not bought an amiibo this year. I can say that much.
I've bought one, and I bought it at
Yeah.
discount.
Ooh,
So
I don't think I have either this year.
it's slowing down.
Oh no, wait! I did finally pick up the
Did you get the
Metroids. I
Metroid
think
ones?
after the first of the year. You're right.
I don't
yeah,
think I bought any either.
They really
Yeah, I
slowed
haven't gotten
down.
any this year, but
And without Toys
I
R Us,
did-
I don't know where I'm going to find them.
That's the truth.
Rest in peace, Toys R Us, man. Did you see the thing I posted about the rave and the abandoned Toys R Us that the police had to shut down?
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it probably was.
I worry about it. Toys R Us stores are so humongous, and there's nothing else that's going to take over that space.
Yeah.
Like, those are all going to be ghost buildings because there's no other company that's going to want to buy something like that. It's like too small
It's gonna
for
be-
Walmart.
It'll be
big for everything
furniture.
else.
Furniture stores will move in there.
Yeah.
The last six,
The ones that are always going out of business.
exactly. Is that
Everything must go style furniture stores.
Yeah, that's like that's everywhere.
Opening
in the
weekend,
United
closing
States
sale.
all the time,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's like everywhere. And I used to travel for work around the country, and like everywhere I went, there was a furniture store going out of business. Like we had one in
Yeah.
over by where I grew up that was going out of business for like 15 years.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing that might be unique to furniture stores, but yeah, they're always going out of business.
They passed laws on that here, and now it says going out in a little bitty print for business.
Out for business.
Yeah. I think it's probably worse. But
I think it's funny that somebody got mad enough that they had to legislate that.
yeah.
They're like, look, they're either closed or they're not.
You're going out of business, you actually have to go out of business.
You're always on the verge of going out of business. But
Yeah.
just for 15 years, they just always made that last dollar on the last day by the skin of their teeth.
Put them back in business for one more year. Yeah.
there's actually a chain around here for a while called Liquidation World. That's all they were doing.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's good money. But
So
anyway,
we immediately got off topic here.
welcome to the Furniture World podcast.
So talking about it's far out, man. Like drawing attention again to the fact that they've just got so little coming. We got Labo coming in. Wait a minute, Labo's coming in 10 days.
Yeah,
right.
it's
Wow,
about here.
that snuck up on me. I gotta cancel my pre-orders.
You'll be folding cardboard in no time.
But then this is out in July, and then what else we got? Smash won't be coming till around
Mario
Christmas.
Aces, I think, is maybe
Oh,
confirmed
you're right.
for June.
Because we care.
Yeah, I don't think
Oh,
they
wow.
ever.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've officially said it, but it's leaked enough places that we know that's coming in June. But yeah, it's
Has anyone looked at this closely to decide if this is really kind of just a minor upgrade of the Wii U one, or if this is really a new game?
no. This is. I think this is a whole new thing. I'm pretty sure it's new
As much-
aesthetic. Yeah, it's
All right.
As much as it can be.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
still a
all
tennis
Camelot
game.
still, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And again,
That last one was pretty half-assed.
It's Camelot's one of those things. There's a new Mario Golf, Mario Tennis that comes out on every platform, like clockwork. And I probably check in on every third or fourth one.
I've
Right.
never really done a Mario Tennis, and I hadn't done Mario Golf until the 3DS one, and that one sold me. Like, I would probably go in on another Mario Golf. Like, that was a great game.
Especially with people to play online with,
Yeah, completely agreed on the Mario Golf. But yeah, so I'm like, and I've checked in, like I have Mario Golf on the 64, which was theirs, which was the first time that I was like, hey, these Mario sports games are kind of cool. Like that was the first one of those that that kind of hooked me. And I know I played Mario Tennis, maybe the Wii one. I think I had played or somewhere. I don't remember which version, but there was one of the tennises I thought was cool before they started getting too tricky for their own good. So yeah, Camelot's a legitimate. What the hell else do they make? Anything? Are they just
like just Mario sports titles?
Are they like a third party in name only kind of thing, like one of those?
I think so.
They basically only make this particular Nintendo series.
And for all I know, the Wii U Tennis might have been the greatest thing in the world, although the reviews say otherwise. I think that one had the unfortunate thing of people were like, ooh, what's Nintendo got up their sleeve for this holiday? And then when the only thing they had was that Mario Tennis, people were just like, I'm not going to buy that. Screw you.
That was kind of the first.
Like,
that was, you're right.
There was a year where that's what they had for the holiday. Like, that was their game. That was the only thing they had.
And that was the point where Wii U owners were starting to, to get out the pitchforks.
Maybe that's what's so scary about when Tennis Aces was the only thing that they had in that direct. Like,
exactly. It's like this is when the Switch owners should be getting out their pitchforks. Pitchforks.
But yeah, we'll talk about it later, but yeah, it's a pretty slow start, and we've mentioned that. I mean, we were talking about that in January, and it was like, well, it's only January, but
now it's mid-April.
Sure seems slow. Yeah, it's like is it?
Yeah, I mean, we've been waiting this, and it's been like for the podcast. How many weeks now has it been? Well, slow news week. Right? It's been since the first of the year, just about since Labo. When they announced Labo, we're like, wow, that's not until that's months out, and now it's almost
huge
here.
E3 this year.
Really, nothing has come in between. We didn't get Donkey Kong before that, did we? Donkey Kong still hasn't come out yet, has it?
No.
It's getting close, though.
That's what Nintendo's currently riding on right now. It's Donkey Kong.
But wait a minute. Like, what the hell has come out since?
Yeah, their Twitter is in a changeover right now from Kirby.
They announced the tennis. They announced the Dark Souls. There was the teaser for Smash. There's been a few little.
Like Dark Souls is May, right?
No, not announced. What has actually come out since the first of the year? That isn't a tiny little indie title.
Yeah, Kirby.
Kirby doesn't count. What has actually come out since the first of the year?
Well, I think the eShop bestsellers would disagree with you. Bayonetta 1 and 2 again.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the Bayos. I had forgotten about those. Are legitimate big ticket titles?
Yeah,
presumably, but they didn't seem to make.
I think Kirby's outsold Bayonetta 1 and 2.
Yeah, sadly, yeah.
So yeah. When I look in the bestsellers, though, like I said, it's funny that it's back to your standard bestsellers for the most part. You've got your Stardew, your Rocket League, your Overcooked. It's like the ones that are always there are still there. Punch Out's up to number 5.
Yeah,
people have finally found out about that apparently. I was surprised to find 2 Arcade Archives games in the top 5.
What's the other one?
Mario versus
Super.
Mario. Versus Supercell.
Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8, and Breath of the Wild have all crept back into the bottom on my list as well.
So you can tell how well Nintendo's doing when two of their top 5 best-selling games right now are 30 years old.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that also tells them what people want.
That's true. And they know that.
Really, really getting irritated that it's not there yet.
They're probably having second thoughts about this Netflix-style virtual console that people are thinking that they might do. Because now they're like, I don't know, man. What are we going to be able to sell these people if we just
they got
this?
Nintendo, I don't know, man. Nintendo isn't one to just jump in whole hog on a subscription service.
No,
right?
I don't.
They do
so
everything
either.
with their toe in first, so I don't see them doing it yet. I still see them selling these as individual. Yeah, that too. But I see them selling these as individual chunks. But I wouldn't for me. I would much prefer. Yeah. I mean, right? Here's what would happen. If they offered both options, I would do both options. I would end up paying for the subscription service and then buy individual ones I want anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think you always kind of want to own it. Maybe they'll do something where each game you'll get a 1-month rental on each game, and then you can choose to buy it after that or something like. And then it'll just show like you've already used your 1 month on this game.
Yeah, I mean here's the other thing. If they're promoting one particular classic title a month and they're going to do leaderboards and tournaments and whatever for that month of that title, and it's free for everyone to play, and maybe on sale for that month, and then they move on to the next one, I could see that. I mean, you know what I mean? The way they announced it, people were like, oh, that sounds terrible. But I could see it working if they did it right. You know what I mean? If they did fun stuff around it, like tournaments and
maybe.
And
do you want to compete in a balloon fight tournament?
No, but people would, and it would be interesting. And you know what I mean? It would generate buzz around that particular game for that particular month. You know what I mean? I don't see that when they announced that concept, when Reggie explained that, and people immediately just panned it and were like, "What a fucking terrible idea!" I really thought that doesn't sound. I mean, you know, if it was done right, it doesn't sound horrible. It just has to be done right. And
I think the part that I was more upset with is they said it would be for a month. You would get the games for a month, and then you would lose them after that month.
No, it was a way he explained it. He said you would have the option to purchase it.
Yeah.
You know, after that, but you wouldn't get it for free. You only have it for free for the month. And that's fine. As long as you right? If there's always some random free title to play, it doesn't, you know what I mean? I get the logic of what they were going for there, and it sounds like a neat idea. If they if they made a big promotion around it each month, and you could, you know, get little tournaments, maybe even win an avatar or like Nintendo. Nintendo would be genius, right? If they had stuff like this as part of their online service, of course, right?
Yeah. Win a permanent version of the game to keep.
So what'd you say? Or yeah, like if you top 3 in the nation or whatever, you just get the game.
You get the $5 game for free.
Exactly. You know, that's exactly the way they would do it too. You know, that's how they would do it. We'll dangle this tiny microscopic little carrot in front of you.
Grand prize, total value $4.99.
Exactly. Yeah, that's Nintendo, man.
People would fight for it.
And it would, but you know what? I hate to say it. It would still be all right. It's something, and it would be kind of cool. It would be a neat little thing to just a little tournament.
It would get that engagement up the way the mobile games don't seem to have.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, anything's better than nothing, I guess. I don't know. I still think it's going to be like August before we hear anything about what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I think
then they'll probably just say, "You'll see next month. You'll see."
I think it's going to be. Oh, go ahead.
This kind of point I was wanting to get into there is what we're going to see at E3, and I think with the Splatoon coming out, the update coming out after E3, think we're going to see a lot of playtime for this Octo expansion.
It'll be a few
Yeah.
hours during the treehouse stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably multiple times over the several days.
And then from the booth, right? When you think of booth layout and what percentage of the booth is going to be Splatoon versus Labo versus Smash versus whatever the secret thing is that people think is going to get announced, be it Animal Crossing or Pokemon or you know what I mean? It seems like there's whatever, everybody's speculating something. There's some, but it seems like the general consensus is everyone seems to think there's some additional little tidbit, some big
there has
something
to be
going to drop.
Oh, perhaps
would
Remember
hope
that
so.
year
Yeah,
that
I
they
would hope
leaked
so.
the Mario Maker photo, and we were just like, I don't know, that doesn't look real.
I'm not remembering that, but
Yeah, it was somebody had taken a picture from inside E3 and it just showed a bunch of stations that said Mario Maker. And like everyone's like, yeah, that would be cool. They'd never do that.
Yeah, you know what?
So,
and
we'll
a
see.
Mario Maker port is something that's right. That's something like Smash that
Yeah.
they would have in their back pocket that I'm certain will drop on the Switch at some
Like
point.
I said, I think that can work with pointer controls, using the Joy-Con for pointer controls, or if you're using the screen, then you can just do it on the screen. But
yeah, or they, I think you totally could do it with pointer
Yeah.
controls, and I think it would be wise to let them do that, or just to do that. In fact, you know what? Now it's got multi-touch.
right.
So you really could add a lot more functionality to Mario Maker. I'd double dip on that probably.
If they
To
actually
me,
supported
that's
the online this time.
yeah, and I'd like to see a little. It's hard to say, I want to see more to Mario Maker when it's like, you know what I mean? It's such an open-ended kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would like to see a little more classic, like pre-constructed stuff in Mario Maker, something to really make it simply the definitive 2D Mario product, bar none.
Yeah.
Right? Have it include the first 3 Mario games or 4.
No, they're not going to give away games with it.
It's gonna
know.
raise the price up on it.
They never would. I know. But
at least we already know it'll be $60 at launch, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
or more.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And they'll be paid DLC probably for it eventually.
Oh yeah. They give away the amiibo costumes as paid DLC.
Yeah, no, it won't be paid DLC. What it'll be is it'll just cost you the online service fee to be able to actually do anything online with it.
To do anything online, yeah. They might start doing that more and more. I almost wonder if that's why the Splatoon stuff was offline, is because they didn't want to upset people. But they want to be like, here, now you can still play Splatoon even though your parents won't buy you the online service.
Maybe, yeah, that's why they want
it costs
more
the same price
content.
as a year of online service.
Well, and again, I think for most 8 to 10-year-olds, the online is just a little too intimidating and overwhelming, right? Even what's it called? Even Salmon Run.
Yeah.
So I gotta imagine there's a substantial portion of younger players that we're not thinking about that are, a good percentage that are just like, I just like the single player, and that's all I want to play.
Yeah,
I want to play
fine stuff.
I want more single player.
Single player is about teaching you strategies for online multiplayer. I don't really see maybe some children are into it, but I can't really see it. If you can't make it into the online, especially some of the
maybe with Splatoon or something, yeah. But you've got like Kirby. I don't even think that has online. I don't think, which that was another misstep. Especially when they're promoting like this one's got so much awesome multiplayer stuff. It's like, let's make sure they have to be in the same room.
I forgot about that. That Kirby is local only.
Yeah. It's like when they started doing the Mario parties online or local only. They've always been, I guess, but
yeah, see, and that's Nintendo's been stuck in that. I mean,
yeah. But maybe now that they have an online service that they're charging for, maybe they'll start building more online indie games.
Yeah.
Not because they want to, but because they want to sell more subscriptions.
Yeah, no, and I wouldn't be surprised if say Kirby got an online multiplayer update once their online comes out.
Ooh, I never thought of that. Start adding online to games that didn't have it before.
But don't you remember
Maybe.
that's the basis of the Switch, and that's what they started selling it to us in the beginning.
Sharing
When you're
joy.
having that roof party, or you're on the school bus, or wherever you're at. That's why they're including so much local.
Hey, Karen, bring over your Switch. I want to control the hat.
Here's the thing. Well, it was just like, remember Super Mario Galaxy? I can shoot these star bits at the screen. Like the second player, that was even more of a joke.
Yeah, or the Wii U one where you can just add platforms.
Oh yeah. Oh, which immediately, that was just like old school Mario Brothers. That immediately turned into the person trying to kill you.
Yeah, to put them in places where you couldn't reach.
or like, right, you're making this huge jump and they just suddenly you hit a wall right in the middle of it. Yeah, that was Bob was real good at that stuff. But right, it's it is what it is. It's just, to me, having a robust local multiplayer in no way precludes having an online multiplayer. Like, that there's no, I mean, sure, couch co-op's great, but there's no reason this character on the screen shouldn't be equally able to be somebody on the couch next to me, or, you know, or a friend with a different Switch, you know, in the other room, or across town, or on another planet.
Yeah, it's very hit or miss. It seems like no matter what, they want to put multiplayer into everything. But Odyssey, nobody really talks about how horrible Odyssey's multiplayer is. But that might be one of the worst multiplayers ever in a game.
No.
I think most people just ignore it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Nobody wants to be the hat. Like I said, I don't even understand how jumping would work with that hat.
Nobody wanted to shoot little star pellets for Galaxy, and, you know, nobody wanted to draw blocks on the screen. They feel compelled to include that component, and I think if you have somebody to mess with it you mess with it for 5 minutes, and then and then, as Barry said, you ignore it at that point.
Hopefully they add online to Odyssey so I can control the hat for some reason.
Randomly, just like jump into your game, suddenly your hat is controlled.
Well, that'd be even better if they did it like Splatoon, where you could just have randos controlling your hat. I can't see how that could ever go wrong.
It'd be like Twitch plays Odyssey, which is a little bit of news to throw that out. Apparently Twitch is playing Odyssey now. I don't see that going well.
Yeah. They've been playing some other games too.
If it wasn't random, if it's, you know, anyone who's trying to pop your balloon, you can jump in and control their hat.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah.
See how you trip them up?
It would be very difficult for them to get your hat, if you were getting, or your balloon, if you were tormenting the crap out of them with your hat.
Being that the hat jumping is such a crucial part to the game, that's what I don't understand about the multiplayer, because it's like this one person's just like, you just hold the hat there so I can jump on it. Like, it kind of ruins the whole flow of hat jumping, I would think. It's good for beach volleyball if you ever get to that mini game.
It was the same thing with the Wii U one. It was like, as you're playing through the levels, if your friend was incredibly fast, they might be able to save you from dying by drawing something under you incredibly quickly. But otherwise, it was like your friend could draw blocks for you to tiptoe through the entire level if you wanted, if you were a little kid and couldn't do it, you know, yourself. But I don't think you'd make it through the level in time. I mean, you know what I mean? It was really, it was similarly kind of useless and usually just more problematic.
Just something for them to do other than watch you play the game, which is what the multiplayer in Super Mario 3 is.
And you know what? If you want just something to do when you're not actually playing the game, I would hearken everybody back to F-Zero X's slot machine at the end of that game. That was the best thing ever. Which I'll remind you guys, if you don't remember, when you would die in F-Zero, if you didn't set it to have respawns, you would get a slot machine, and you could sit and play the slot machine while everyone else was racing. And the items that would pop up on the slot machine were the characters of the other racers. And if you got 3 of your buddy, he would suddenly lose all his health. So you could basically sit, and if you just kept trying, and if you got lucky, you'd nail somebody and totally screw them up.
It's kind of like Super Bomberman R has the Revenge Bomber, where when you die, you get a little cart that you can float around the level, around the corners of the level, and throw bombs into the arena to try to kill somebody. And if you kill them, then you take their place.
Oh, nice.
Gives you a little something to do. Of course, you can only throw bombs like a certain distance, so you know.
Yeah, it's
can't
difficult.
reach everybody,
It's rare that you would get lucky enough to nail somebody, but every once in a while.
Every now and then, yeah, it's something to do. But I don't know. How did we get to multiplayer?
All right. There was one other tidbit about, or a couple other tidbits about Splatoon. One, there was a new data mine recently, and we did get a couple of Grisco items revealed. I think we're all not really excited about that, but we do see Captain Cuttlefish's hat, or at least a version of it, making an appearance again.
Yeah. Which I think in the first game was your reward for maxing out your level.
Yep.
It was pretty ubiquitous in the late game.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, of course, is Team Baseball won.
Oh, yeah.
Coming.
Yeah.
But lost popularity, which, as we were discussing, points out both the declining popularity of baseball and the growing popularity of Nintendo, I think, in South and Central America.
Well, that was just North American.
Yeah, it was just North America. Well, it probably had Australia and New Zealand included.
Well, here's the thing. But South America and Central America don't have a region. So if anybody plays from those regions, I would assume they would be included in our segment, right?
Well, Mexico would be, but I don't know about...
maybe it's just Mexico. Because there's got to be... I got to imagine Mexico's included these days in North America. Mexico's prosperous enough. There's lots of kids down there playing Nintendo. Like, when I go online and play games, like is phone games and stuff, there's lots of Spanish speakers. There's lots of people from that part of the world playing.
Yeah. We've got a Canadian with us.
Is it whatever region you set your profile to, that's the region you're participating in?
That's true, too, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's based on where your game comes from.
Oh, that's right.
Well, but if your profile is from a particular region and you download your game from that region.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't...
That's true.
You wouldn't... Like, if you bought the Japanese version of Splatoon 2 before it came out here, you would only be able to participate in Japanese Splatfest.
I gotta find out. So, right, I got family in Indonesia, and they're not really part of any particular zone either. I think they get US hardware. I don't think they get Japanese hardware. I'm gonna have to look into that and see, because in the old days
there was some sort of Nintendo Asia now that
maybe covers that
things that aren't Japan.
Because here's
but it covers like India and stuff.
Because in the old, when I went over there a few years back, it was all pirate carts and hacked hardware and disc and cartridge based. They didn't download anything. It wasn't a thing over there. Download games for consoles and Nintendo systems. I gotta imagine that's changed. Like, the guy's got Steam,
Yeah.
It's not like they don't have internet over there. They've got streaming video and stuff. So it just seemed like, at least on the consoles, that just wasn't really a thing. So I'll have to revisit that now, because they've got Switches over there. I'm curious. You're missing out on... I mean, how many games are physical on the Switch versus percentage-wise versus download? If you go on the eShop, there's 600 something download games, but there's physical. There's like a tenth of that, or maybe 80. Somebody posted a picture of all available physical games, and it was 70 something, 80 something.
Yeah, I don't remember how many it was. Somebody on Reddit a few months ago had shared that they bought everything.
Yeah, they showed a big picture of all the cartridge boxes. But
how many of those would you want to own physically?
Most
that are on the eShop that you can't.
Random point of note, just throw out a number. How many physical games do we each own?
I have 5.
I have 2.
I think I'm up to 5.
I have 9.
Oh, wow, man. I have 8. I was surprised. I'm
No
surprised you
way.
knew.
No way. I guess that Monopoly put me over the top. Well, I mean, I've got like some of the titles I've got that I never talk about, like Monopoly, RBI
Yeah.
Baseball 2017.
Was Uno physical or did you download it?
No, that's download only, I think.
I forgot about RBI Baseball. 564 items if you just go to all items on the eShop, by the way.
But I got Bomberman R and Puyo
I forgot
Tetris
about
and stuff
Bomberman.
like that. That you guys may not. And I'm Doom, of course.
But okay, so point being though, there's 500, whatever that number I just threw out, 500 and something games on the eShop versus 1/5 of that, less than 1/5 of that, 1/6 of that, say cartridge. So it's like, right, if you're buying a machine these days, Nintendo has finally moved past that weird thing they had about online stuff. The majority of their I mean, there's a substantial stuff that's online only. Substantial amount of stuff.
Anything that they make for the most part, other than like
nothing
Flip
is
Wars.
physical only anymore, right?
Yeah.
Remember the early days of this online business? There's still a lot of stuff on the 3DS eShop that says available at your local retailer.
Right.
Same thing on the Wii U, some things.
And you'll never find it at your local retailer.
Yeah, hell no. You'll find it on Amazon for 4 times the original release price. Yeah.
That's true. I don't know. But as Barry being our resident Canadian, I'm guessing baseball doesn't have much love up there, but I can't see soccer having a ton other than it's similar enough to hockey.
Well, soccer is still a game of choice for younger kids, right? Because it's a good
That's true.
There's not a lot of overhead. There is a lot of softball leagues, but you don't see as much hardball up here for sure.
Yeah. Well, even here, you don't see hardball outside of the majors and minors and college, really, because any of us, if we were going to play ball, we would be playing softball with a bunch of fat beer belly guys.
Yeah, and like historically, we've had 1 or 2 at any given time baseball teams professionally. There is some interest, but it's not nearly as big here as has been in the States. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's our national pastime.
That's right. But we lost popularity on that one, so.
Yeah, that's all right.
But in our experience in the Splatfest, we only had 3 rounds against baseball versus baseball.
Yeah.
So that was really a surprising outcome for us, I think.
Yeah. Whoever wins popularity is kind of at a disadvantage because they spend a lot of time playing against the same team.
Yeah, I would say I was getting at least 1 match in 4 that were mirror matches, soccer versus soccer, probably a little more.
So you were definitely, you were seeing the effects of the more popular.
Yeah, it seemed that way.
Yeah, we had 3 baseball versus baseballs according to their count.
So just because it makes sense to put the topics together, I just did. And I want to jump to ARMS because we always talk so much about Splatoon. Unless you have something else to add, Jason, because
no, I think we
do. Okay. Now Splatoon, and again, they made it sound like back in January, I think, who looked it up to confirm the time, but they really made it sound like Jason, like that was the last content update of any kind. Like the major, like they said, it's going to be just kind of bug fixes and minor updates from here on out, and balance fixes and whatever. So this to me feels like maybe they're giving a little more push. Maybe they saw something, I don't know. They must have had this in the pipe, right? The sudden, huge global punch fest, and then the sale, and then I don't know, man. Now more updates. That they said they weren't going to give more updates. And again, we quibbled over the details. They really made it sound at least like there weren't going to be any more content updates, but I guess the verbiage was vague enough, as is always the Nintendo way, to leave open more potential content updates. But it really
could say what's major.
It really felt like they were killing it off, and now it feels like they're not. Like they're trying to resurrect it.
What we're getting at here is ARMS just received an update tonight for version 5.3. But I would beg to say, they promoted as useful content from the little hand guy that talks.
Yeah.
But what about this would be
The hamburger
considered a
helper.
major?
Well,
what would be a major update? This dashboard?
Well, okay, the dashboard. I mean, that seems like any sort of significant UI enhancement to me is an update.
I guess they've added some videos where you can watch the pros and get tips and tricks and stuff.
But that's what I mean. Is it's what they're adding is it's content. It's more reason to go into the game and you know it's more to the game to make it feel like there's more there. Now whether watching other people play or reading news bits or tips and tricks, I'm going to care at all about. I
ignore them on the Switch main screen, so
yeah, I mean,
I would ignore them there too.
Yeah,
it sounds like they just added this news screen to.
But it
sounds like
it just to me it feels conflicted. It felt like we're killing it, we're giving up, and now we're adding this, we're adding that, and whether it's whether you consider it legitimate content or not, it's a legitimate attempt to make it look like they're adding content.
For some reason somebody keeps spending employee time
trying to push it. Yeah, they're still trying to
stuff
push
on
it.
there. Yeah.
Well, it could be one thing they're doing to try to address this sort of lull that they're having. So they
exactly
try and get two birds with one stone. If they can get a bit more attention on ARMS, which kind of got overshadowed initially, try and get it going, and at the same time it gives them something to do while they've got this waiting going on in between.
What was
and Kimishima had that quote? Yeah,
exactly.
Wanted people to have
the
more experiences
we already have. Yeah.
Or don't have in that case.
So it's maybe this was the plan all along, is we drop this ARMS thing right in between the two Titans. It just would have made more sense to hold on to it until now.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't they just wait on ARMS and drop it now?
Although, to be honest,
or a month ago,
even if it came out now, like the test punch is enough to kill it for me. Like,
fair enough, but it still would have been a big buzzworthy title.
It would have had more chance than selling when nobody owned the console.
Yeah, they didn't need to cram it. It was right. They wanted to cram that first year because they wanted it to look huge out of the gate, and I get it. But ARMS didn't need it there. They could have just promoted some other title, just to make it sound like they had the buzz, and then throw ARMS.
To be honest, if ARMS was so great, it would have killed Splatoon 2. Like,
or at least, because it came out first.
So, it came out like 2 months before. It's like if it had been a great game, Splatoon 2 would have been screwed. So it's like,
well, they were still in that fantasy though about being a legitimate competitive gaming experience. The Switch being one. So
that's true. And you saw how that's panned out after a year because there's ARMS and Splatoon 2 competitions just popping up all over the place.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, Splatoon had enough energy going for it after the first Splatoon. I don't think it would have mattered how big ARMS was. It wouldn't have completely killed. It might have slowed the adoption rate, but it wouldn't have killed Splatoon 2, especially in Japan.
Yeah. I still kind of wonder how Splatoon 2 is doing. Like, I feel like on the Wii U, it was such a huge title because it was the only thing, and it was a good thing.
If I don't have to wait for a match whenever I want to play it, then it's doing fine, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I never do.
I don't know how much
or otherwise.
I don't know how much of it is matchmaking, but I still do when I'm just playing Turf War. I see a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
Pop back up. Like, I recognize this username from 2 days ago.
Yeah, I do that too.
I wonder if it does tend to do that, because I don't know. It seems like they've played with changes in that. Because there have been times in the past where that would happen for a while and then stop happening. In the first Splatoon, it seemed like they were almost testing it. Like in between patches, it would start functioning that way for a while. So I don't know. Maybe they do that on purpose. I've noticed in some of the online phone games, they sort of seem to work that way as well. They'll put you with the same random strangers over and over again. You're like in the same rotation with the same subgroup for a while or something.
Yeah, that's the only game I've ever noticed it with was Splatoon 2 that I've noticed like multiple days later I'll run into the same people, but it could just be that we play the game at the same time of night, or maybe just everybody's name is Woomy.
I have a feeling that part of the newly lag-free experience that we see most of the time is that they probably subdivide people more regionally than they used to.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Potentially, right? So maybe the reason you're seeing is because you are playing with a much smaller group most of the time. I mean, when you join up friends or whatever, you still join up friends, but maybe that's why when you join up friends, like you always end up in their group. You know what I mean? If you ever join somebody that's way lower level than you, or you know what I mean? You notice when you join their group. The matchmaking does work to a degree.
Yeah, I had a friend who had just bought the game like a month ago. And one night I was like, all right, man, boot up. I'll get in there with you. And it's like I was with all these low-level people. It was great.
It's
Had
fun.
A blast.
It's fun. It's fun for a couple rounds, and then you really start.
It's like, I am a god here.
Drop a bomb and watch them walk over it, blow up.
Yeah, it's like I could just jump over people's heads, shoot them in the back, and like they don't know.
But again, if your goal to see how your criteria to see how well a game is still doing is how long you have to wait to get a full lobby to play the game. Even with Splatoon 1, I've hopped on in the last few weeks and again a month or so before that, and you'd get lobbies quite quickly. It's still seeing a lot of people.
You're absolutely right. I did exactly the same thing a few months ago just to see mainly if the B and the X totally screwed me up, and it did. I can't play Splatoon 1 anymore, or at least not without spending probably without spending a few hours adjusting. But yeah, is Barry's right. Yeah, I hopped right in a couple matches, no problem. So there's enough people still out there. Now, I think I saw more Japanese names on those matches. They may have merged those, you know what I mean? There's a lower player base. They may have just merged the regions.
I still think it would be kind of cool if they, for like $20, put out Splatoon 1 as a game for Switch that just had the old, weapons and old stuff. I guess you'd have to redo it in a weird way, I guess.
It'd be hard
to pop up like the ink strike to pop up the map and do it. Or maybe just when you press in the button to do the ink strike, it would pop up the map and you'd have to, use the player control or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, aside from an awkward new play control approximation, I don't really see what you'd get because Splatoon 2 really does it. Aside from the handful of maps they still haven't quite yet brought over, I can't. And obviously there are changes, but they're just necessitated by the new form factor.
Just new weapons or new, specials.
Yeah, it pretty much fully encompasses the first game,
for the most part. Additional. Yeah, it does a decent job.
So I'm
used to it now.
From that perspective, I guess I can call it Splatoon 2.
Yeah, I slowly warmed up to Splatoon 2. Like at first, I was like, I don't know. I still kind of think the first one's better, but I'm getting used to it now. It's become the standard thing.
Oh, I never had that. Miss the old one thing. I mean, aside from the X and B thing, that was just an annoying adaptation. But no, as far as I was concerned, Splatoon 2 is now the definitive Splatoon.
Yeah,
and I'm perfectly okay with that.
All right. Well, got a bit of an update here, just kind of interjecting the topics, and sort of an interesting update. Nintendo has finally, or at least Nintendo of Japan, I should say, has finally addressed this bricking systems to some degree by providing a safe charger list. So it takes a 56 ohm resistor rating. So if you don't know how to find that, then you're like the rest of us, because none of us seem to have any idea about that.
Mm-mm.
But they did provide a list, and it said if your charger meets that, then you're good as gold. So
yeah, 56 ohm rating is I don't know if it's something that's going to be actually displayed on chargers though, but
No.
I still say stick with the Nintendo one.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be real hard to find people that are just, hey, this is the rating on the resistor inside our charger.
You know what?
And I could not find it.
Once I was past the warranty period of a console is when the point at which I'd start opening it up or thinking about modding it or doing whatever. But now in the days like I don't want to mess with this stuff until cloud saves is my cutoff.
Yeah.
As soon as we have cloud saves, okay, then I'll start using I'll try my Nyko dock again.
You think that'll ever happen, really?
Cloud saves?
I don't think so.
Oh no, it has to.
I'm afraid it won't.
We said that about Netflix too.
But and Netflix will. We know it will. All this stuff will happen. It's just.
But don't you remember what Reggie said? How could they have cloud saves for a console that you can take outside your home?
Yeah, I mean it's just difficult because
it's
you could
impossible.
be anywhere.
Reggie's. Impossible. Yeah, no. Reggie toes the marketing line to absurd places sometimes. The thing about it is, it is. I mean, it's been a glaring omission for so long. It's like, you know what? Even Nintendo eventually had to do discs. You know what I mean? They got so much backlash from the cartridges, they eventually had to give up on it. And then they got so much backlash from the Wii U, they eventually had to give up on it. They just 3D, same thing. Right? So in this case, it's something they're going to have to give into. It's just an industry
back to cartridges, kind of.
It's an industry standard at this point. I mean, they just have to do it. I mean, it just, and it's you know what I mean? It's not difficult. It's not anything that can't, you know what I mean? It's, there's nothing nefarious or like editing save files is the least, right? Hacking save files is the least of the problems. That's not what hackers are going for.
I'm still really wondering if this online is going to be like an a la carte thing where it'll be $20 for the subscription and then $20 for the save data bank, like the Pokebank, where you pay a certain subscription to be able to back up your data.
It's like it'll have apps.
Yeah, like it'll have like little things that you can pay for.
I don't see cloud apps. I see there being some sort of premium add-on of some kind. I don't see him nickel and diming, at least not at this point.
The fact that it starts out at $20 makes me think that like that's way too low compared to the other companies out there.
I gotta imagine they regret the shit out of making that $20 announcement so early.
Yeah.
I think for Nintendo, who's never had a paid online service, I think it's important to start low. And maybe, like most saying, the a la carte type deal is going to make it a possibility, but
I could see them $20 gets you basic online, like your Splatoon online, your Mario Kart online, and then it's like, hey, if you want to be able to play the virtual console, there's a fee for that.
Here's another thing. Well, speaking of fees, here's another interesting component. What if, and I don't know how this works. I haven't never really looked into this, but do devs have to charge? I assume, like, if a dev submits a game that wants to use Nintendo's online backbone, there's an extra fee associated with that. No? I would assume. Like, right? If we're going to use online service for our indie game that uses Nintendo's servers, whatever, how does that all work?
Yeah.
How does that all work for Sony or Microsoft, I wonder? And where's the cash? Is there cash flow going on as far as that goes? I would assume so.
Yeah.
Right? So we
know that some people do use Nintendo and some people do use their own. Like Rocket League uses their own. Uno obviously uses its own. But like Pocket Rumble had said that part of their problem, and same with Murphy's Law, part of their problem of getting going is errors with the online, which I'm assuming that means they're using Nintendo's stuff, not their own.
It's true.
Maybe Nintendo needs a middleware for their online.
Or, maybe it's just a case of they've been waiting for the dev kit from Nintendo and it just isn't coming.
I think they already have it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Pocket Rumble's been completed since before the launch of the Switch. The game itself has been completed. They just can't get it to run smoothly online.
Smoothly, they say, specifically.
Yeah. Basically, they can't. Well, they can't get it to really work online without crashing and other stuff, I'm guessing.
So there's something.
But they have something to work on. They have something to write to. But go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say there's something going on there that's holding people back, and the more and more it goes, the more and more I think it's connected to the online service. If Nintendo's holding back part of the stuff, or if it's going to be connected to it somehow.
Yeah.
And again, there's also the stuff about I think is directly related we've talked about before, is some of these weird missing classics collections. Some are showing up and some aren't on the Switch, and ones that very obviously should be.
The Mega Man X collection just got announced.
But yeah, right. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, right, there's some of these that it's like the dev is obviously pissing away money by not releasing this on the Switch. Yeah. And they're not even saying, hey, it's coming to this. Like most devs, it seems like, of anything these days, if there's a Switch version on the horizon, they are, hey, it's coming, don't worry. And there's no announcement of any of these packages, or several of these packages that we've seen for the Switch. And I really think it's got to be tied into some kind of virtual console / online announcement, because we know it's coming together. And again, it's not whatever form the future version of the virtual console will take. And I'm sure we will like it as much as we like My Nintendo versus Club Nintendo.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's been your theory on it. I just don't know if... I don't know. You want to have a logical reason, but it's Nintendo. There's never logic involved.
I know. And we're completely off topic of the safe charger thing, which to me is a real half-assed way to
deal with it.
Deal with that problem.
But it points to, I guess, the bricking having something to do with the power, which some people have said that
was pretty, I think.
Yeah, with it being a non-standard, that was their guess with the USB being non-standard, is that it would cause it to overcharge. So maybe that's because of the resistor that's in the thing. But at this point, I say just bite the bullet and buy an extra Nintendo power adapter if that's what you need to do.
Or dock. The docks have been super cheap if you're watching for the deals, right?
Unless you're shopping at Toys R Us.
They've been down to like $30 or $40. Yeah, I don't... Like, again, I got that sweet Disney Infinity package for Wii U for $160 or $159 at Toys R Us, and I got a few of the figures for the same. The figures themselves were the exact same price, $159. But I picked up a few of those as well. So I spent a total of like $5 or $6.
When Max went to Toys R Us, she took a picture, and the docks were the regular price, the $90 price.
Yeah,
well, plus whatever.
Minus 10%. Oh no, they had increased them 10%, and then
that was one I found on Reddit.
Gotcha.
Somebody on Reddit found one where it was listed as $105 for the Switch dock, and then had the 10% discount. But at Max's store anyway, I don't think my store even has docks. They never have docks.
For a liquidation, I gotta say I was pretty disappointed. My local Toys R Us liquidated earlier than the others. A lot of all the Switch stuff had just been pulled out of the store before it happened, and there were certain things that were sweet deals, like that Infinity thing, because they just had a billion of them. But most stuff was 20, 30 at most % off. Like it was
that was also on Wii U, right?
They weren't even. Most of them weren't even like Black Friday deals. Well, some of them were in that range, maybe, but
the
not
Infinity stuff and the Amiibo Festival, they've been blowing out for
anyway.
Like
those were already down to dirt anyway.
For Amiibo Festival,
but anyway,
we'll get that.
Next topic Jason had was one of our favorite third parties. Sorry, am I jumping ahead, Jason?
That's okay. Go ahead. Yeah, we were going to talk about Bethesda. They recently had an interview at PAX East where their senior vice president of marketing, Pete Hines, was talking about bringing games to Switch. And of course, what they say is they'll bring a game to Switch if it's a good fit and it's what the audience wants. I don't know. It's just kind of a
you got to look on an individual basis, you know.
Well,
it's like
just
that
right.
PR talk.
Yeah.
Well, they're still figuring out. I think everybody's still figuring out what the demo is for the Switch. It's not quite the same demo as a PS4 Pro or Xbox One X owner, obviously.
Like I said earlier, I think if it's a game, it's a good fit.
Yeah.
Right now, I think a lot of devs are kind of feeling that because they're selling a hell of a lot of Switches.
Yeah.
But he also said something else that I think kind of speaks to that. He says they will not hold back a launch of a title just so it can launch on the Switch at the same time as other titles.
Yeah, because he was talking about Wolfenstein 2, which was the game that they were showing, which everyone has said looked pretty good on the show floor.
But I think
and does have motion control confirmed.
Yeah, I think I might bite on that one, even at full price.
But yeah, they said when they were looking to release Wolfenstein, they knew they were going to have a Switch version, but they weren't going to hold back the other versions.
Of course not, and that's fine
until the Switch one comes out, which I can understand that.
And that's fine. Yeah. Now, if they're planning from the get-go for a Switch version, they should be able to pull off.
They can roll it into development now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they should be able to. And even if it's a little late, we're kind of this era in the.
We're used to that as Nintendo fans.
Well, yeah, that too. But I mean, we're kind of this era in the computer age where there is so much stuff coming out that a few month late port is not really that big a deal.
I thought maybe he was getting at more so that it was more of a difficulty where there were some extra barriers to get through to get to the Switch.
I think so. You got to dumb it down.
Panic button didn't have to work. Yeah. They didn't have to have panic button port to PS4 or Xbox, right? So there's extra steps involved.
It's not, nobody's making a game for the Switch and then up-resing it for the other systems, you know.
Right.
So no matter what, they're always making it for the best hardware that's available, whether it's PC or PlayStation or an Xbox. It's a 4K something.
Not necessarily. I would disagree with that. I wouldn't say, because they do understand they're making it for whatever's the most common console, which probably is the standard PS4.
Yeah.
And they'll have enhancements. You know what I mean? They'll have nice enhancements for.
But on a PlayStation or an Xbox, they're selling it as, look at these amazing graphics, and on Switch, they're selling it as, you can take this anywhere.
If they've developed it for PlayStation, for example, it's not that much more work to get it on PC or Xbox or any other platform. Whereas Switch, it's going to be something special.
You've got to do a bunch of tricks to try to squeeze that thing onto the Switch. Yeah.
And I think that's why it's getting passed over the Switch myself.
Yeah, it is an extra hurdle. It's all, and it's Nintendo.
And it's extra money. It's extra development money or paying somebody like Panic Button to do that.
But here's the thing: is they're selling enough that it's lucrative enough to the third parties to at least bring their bigger titles over.
I hope so.
It's just powerful enough to handle them, with some concessions, usually minor. You know what I mean? It's like they just nailed it. It's what it reminds me of, since I'm always, lately stuck in my retro stuff. It reminds me of that era in the early handheld days of like the Atari Lynx or the Jaguar. Well, they did not the Jaguar, the Atari Lynx or the NES even, where it was like there was this quest to replicate the arcade capability in your home system and also in your portable, right? And now it's kind of that
the quest to emulate PS4 on Nintendo Switch.
Exactly. Now it's the quest to replicate like the big boy console experience on a portable.
That's true.
Like the Atari Lynx was really, for its day, grossly overpowered. I've been reading a lot on it lately. It was grossly overpowered for its day. It was kind of expensive, and it had all this it was like years ahead of anything else that was out, years ahead of the Game Gear. It was what I was reading on it is there was not a more powerful console available until the Super Nintendo was released.
Yeah.
Like home or handheld console, there was not a more powerful console available until the Super Nintendo was released. It was that overpowered, the Lynx. And the Switch, right when it came out, people were like, wow, it really is more powerful than the Wii, and it's a tablet. It's a chunky tablet. But it's right. They're back making something very powerful for what it is and pretty amazing. Right? Like the N64 or the GameCube, not the Wii, not the Wii U. Right? The direction they went with the Wii and Wii U was just cheap for the sake of cheap.
I still view it as an underpowered home console, and
because you don't.
Yeah, because I don't play it as portably. But yeah, I mean, it is an overpowered portable as well.
Whereas you, Jason, you look at it as the greatest Game Boy ever, right?
Right. Yeah, it's like a huge upgrade to the 3DS.
Yeah.
I mean, it's legitimate.
People.
It's
competitive
like
system.
Are you who's a tablet owner around here? Like, I had a tablet for a while. I eventually lost it traveling, but it was ancient at that point anyway, and barely usable. Anyone else ever have a tablet?
I have one.
My daughter's got one. She games on. I mean, she plays Sonic and stuff on it.
But you yourself, have you
I've never personally had one and really used one.
That's what I mean. So like for you, for a lot of people, this is, their first real tablet. For a lot of kids, probably less so. But most people, this is a substantially larger than their phone.
But I still can't get online or get Netflix with it. So
and that's
gaming system. I can't get on the internet. I can't do the tablet things that I could do with a tablet.
That's true. That's true.
All I can do is play games.
I don't see it.
Hulu, I guess.
I don't think that's a fair comparison. It does in appearance, but it does not function.
Yeah, it is a tablet that's been locked off from doing all the things that tablets can do.
Yeah, that's true. It's not like you can sit and watch movies on it.
I think it is a missed opportunity. I've talked about that, a long time ago on this podcast, that I feel like that would be another cool feature if it was just like you could take the Joy-Con off and just have it as a small tablet that you can, do stuff with. Just as a little extra something, just because now every device does everything all the time. So why not this too?
And that's the thing is Nintendo. It's like they intentionally will not have features just because everybody else has them. Yeah. Like that stuff doesn't work that way. That endears you to nobody.
Because if you could watch Netflix on this thing, you probably wouldn't have picked up Odyssey at all. Because you'd say that's not a gaming thing. That's my Netflix tablet.
Is that their maybe that's their mindset? Is like, we don't want to have free stuff on here because there's.
I was just mocking Reggie's thing of it's a gaming device first and foremost. So we don't want to,
No, but really something that's free, that you can waste time on the machine with. Maybe they don't want that. Maybe they just figure that takes away potential purchases of something else. Go ahead, Jason.
I don't know.
I was just going to say, I think they're trying to make a statement, and I think that's kind of what Reggie was getting at. They want this to be not Nintendo's gaming tablet. They want it to be Nintendo's gaming platform. Their console, not a tablet.
And then with the Wii U, they talked about how they wanted it to be something that you used and put your hands on every day, and that's why they made it available for off-screen play and everything. That they want it to be the centerpiece of your living room.
Well, Miyamoto even said about the Switch, he was wanting it to be a household item like your cell phone, not like a cell phone, but something that everybody would have one day. And I really don't know how they're getting to that point.
I'm sorry. You can't compare a gaming device, no matter how great it is, to something that has replaced the camera, the telephone, the television, the personal computer, the
Sunday Times.
Like that has replaced 90% of the devices created over the 20th century.
GPS devices were around for a couple of years.
GPS devices, thank you.
iPod,
flashlight.
Yeah, flashlight.
Flashlight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It really is the Swiss Army phone. Like,
Yeah, that's
Calculator.
exactly. Yeah, you're.
If I could open a can with this thing, I might not need anything else.
You name it. Yeah, exactly. There's no way that, I mean, for Miyamoto to even say that is just.
See, now you got
ridiculous.
me thinking. I need to start making phone cases that have little knives and can openers and corkscrews that fall out of them.
There you go.
Swiss Army phone cases.
Yeah.
Genius. They probably exist somewhere on Etsy or something.
Don't anybody steal that. I'm gonna go on Shark Tank with that one. We laughed out of the room.
I would watch
you guys
that.
seen those Game Boy phone cases, by the way? iPhone cases?
I think so. Yeah, that just look.
That have an
look like
actual little LCD screen on the back. There's ones. There's a clock that looks like a Game Boy. There's a clock that looks like a Game Boy that's just an LCD clock on the screen. But there's an actual iPhone case that's, and it has a few built-in games for it. And it's got, it looks like a Game Boy, and it's on the back of your iPhone. It's built into the case. It's got a little LCD screen, but apparently the games are really cheesy and terrible. Yeah. And it's like, why would you bother? Instead, you would just play a phone game on your phone.
I did see some company was now making Game Boy watches, which I had a Game Boy that's not an actual playable Game Boy. It just looks like a Game Boy, and it tells the time. I had one of those when Game Boy was out. That was just a digital display. I think I might have got it in a box of cereal or something at the time. But anyway, I don't know what else Bethesda's got that I would really want. Maybe Fallout would be cool, but
Fallout's it. I mean, right? That's their holy trifecta, isn't it? Doom. No, there's some
Doom, Elder Scrolls, Fallout.
Doom, Skyrim, and Fallout. That is their holy trifecta. Yeah. So that's the only one, and I guess maybe they're just sitting on that till next Christmas.
But they could always have new stuff coming out. I would think we're due. We got to be due for another Elder Scrolls, shouldn't we?
They say they're not working on it.
Yeah. Why would they when they can just keep reselling?
Keep selling the same one. It's like why we haven't seen Minecraft 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Yeah. But right, so and then it just as a side note, right? Rockstar seems to be sitting on GTA. And I am cautiously optimistic that that's because of the online as well. The GTA Online is going to be the big announce for Switch eventually.
Yeah, I think I get the feeling that we're going to see it at E3. Like
maybe
I feel like GTA has to be coming this year. Like
I think we might not hear about it till later. I think you're right. I think it's got to come by Christmas.
I think
Fallout might too. I think right. Remember how that last Christmas it was like this sudden flurry of third-party stuff for Christmas. I think they're going to do the same. I think we'll see.
If they start doing like
GTA.
PUBG and Fortnite and like, the
Fortnite might be coming sooner rather than later. I would think as well. And again, all of those things there's no way to do that without a robust online component.
Yeah,
so, and that seems to be
that's the common thread to a lot of these. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you're just saying, once the online lands and is stabilized so that people know what's going on, that's when all these other games are going to have the platform to actually get on there and do their stuff. So the flurry leading up to Christmas, I expect, will be bigger this year than last year with regard to that element anyway.
Well, that's the thing. If they want to hit that 20 million they're talking about for the second year, it would have to be. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah, they're gonna have
Smash and Pokemon. They're gonna have to
have some sort of amazing 3 games a month for the rest of the year. Like,
no, I don't. Yeah, maybe they just really think they're gonna get a huge holiday push this year, starting with the online.
I hope they're not thinking Smash is gonna move those 20 million Switches.
No, but I think Smash, Fallout, and GTA would.
Maybe. I mean, when you still got Zelda and Odyssey,
being an Animal Crossing and and exactly. There's those evergreen titles, man, and Mario Kart, right? People will buy them. Smash sales, whatever Smash sales are, they will continue for the lifetime of the Switch. Same thing with Kart. Same thing with Odyssey. Same thing with Breath of the Wild. That is.
And Smash might actually be a legitimate competitive gaming experience.
It won't be Waggleware.
Unlike some ARMs I could mention. But yeah, I don't know. I found it was interesting that Bethesda said it like that. I really don't know what else people would want from them other than Fallout. But just when I hear that all the time, especially on Nintendo, and we heard that all the time on Wii U, it's like, well, if it's a good fit for the system,
well,
it's like, again, okay, so it's a good fit for every system but Nintendo, is what you're saying?
Yeah, because Nintendo A is the weakest, and Nintendo notoriously has the weirdest demographic. There's a few reasons that Nintendo Switch is just the oddball. So, and I think the third-party devs are still trying to figure out who this demo is. It's not hardcore gamers. It's not quite casual phone gamers either. It's what? There's some retro gamers here. Yeah. There's the core Nintendo audience that's always there.
And I think Doom did okay, but it didn't get the Doom million that they were hoping
which,
for.
Which again was a pricing problem and is their fault.
Yeah.
But Doom
what
next
else
Christmas.
Can we complain about tonight?
Doom next Christmas for $20 probably, and I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. Let's jump.
Talking about things coming to Switch, Pokemon trademarks were recently renewed. A couple of them weren't that interesting. 3D trademark for Ash's hat from the anime. We also had the logo from Ash's hat recently renewed. But the one that Ash hat.
Yeah, can you just say thank you? I was.
So the one that was interesting was they renewed the trademark for Pokemon Rumble, which, if you remember, there's been a Pokemon Rumble game on the last two since Wii, I guess. Wii and Wii U both had a fairly early version of Pokemon. That was the first Pokemon on the system.
Anyone ever play that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anyone like it?
I love it.
The wife and I got way into it for a couple evenings, and then I started to find it pretty repetitive. But then you guys tend to be less annoyed by the repetitive stuff than me.
They love Pokemon.
At least Mo does.
I don't know. What was that Pokemon game that came out on 3DS like late that was
Shuffle?
Like an offshoot? No, after that.
There was a Rumble World before Shuffle, I think.
There was a Rumble that came out on 3DS.
There was something that was trying to get you to go in every day, and there were like balloons or something.
Yes. Now that was an abomination. Yeah.
What was that? That was a Rumble.
I know Barry tried that one for a while.
Yeah, I did that one for a while.
Everybody kind of gave up on that one pretty quick. I forgot all about it until this Rumble thing.
You remember Pokemon Rumble on Wii U also brought us the first NFC figures. So.
Oh man, that was a missed opportunity on my part. I would have totally picked those things up.
I wish I had.
My wife was playing the crap out of Pokemon Rumble on Wii U. If we'd known about
those, you're gonna pay for them.
No, I won't.
Yeah, they're pretty rare, I think.
They're still expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't know. They're not a. Well, yeah, if they were $6 or something, sure. But it's just somehow
you got to catch them all.
Certain collectibles, they were Japan only, right?
No.
Oh, they were released here?
They were here in the U.S.
Were they blind packs?
Oh. There were blind packs, and I talked to several local GameStops, which were, I believe, the only place that carried them.
Yeah.
They said people come in and bought them a box at the time.
See, now that people are starting to legislate loot boxes, let's start legislating blind packs.
I would be supportive of that.
There should be
on anything that's not a card
rate. Yeah, there should be a flat rate for a non-blind box, just by and it can cost however many percentage more they can legislate. It costs 15% more to not buy the blind box and just buy the actual item. But then all of a sudden the whole rare thing goes out the window, and it's no longer.
That's true.
It's no longer this whole thing where people are trying to chase down the rares, and becomes this whole little mini culture unto itself.
All right.
Then they can't manipulate the customer base like they currently do. Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say, I've just had this kind of occurrence when thinking about this coming to Switch. Do you think it's possible that the Pokemon game that's been rumored for Switch is going to be a spinoff?
That's entirely possible.
No, because they've pretty much said it was a new mainline Pokemon.
Well,
At least the one they talked about last year.
Well, at least, okay, Game Freak has said they're working, that they're basically planning the next mainline Pokemon game for Switch.
right.
But then there's a rumor of a Pokemon game on Switch. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean
They're the
that
same thing.
Yeah.
the rumor, yeah. They could be, Game Freak could be talking 3 years from now. They're not, I'm sure, but you know, I have a feeling we would see a Pokemon spinoff before we'd see a mainline Pokey.
Same
Remember, it seemed like
You
there was a
always
hell
do.
of a
It
lot-
seems like.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was
there's
such a hell of
there's
a
always
long lead up. Yeah, and there was such a hell of a long lead up to the 3DS. You know, the first 3D Pokemon. I just see there being a similarly long lead up to this, just because Game Freak seems to always be that way.
Yeah. They're still releasing content for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, so.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen some stuff like Pokemon Shuffle. Like, that's a mobile game. It's on mobile devices. It's on 3DS.
Yeah, everyone else is porting their
Why
mobile
not
games
just
to Switch.
shove it over to Switch? It's if you can get a few extra bucks out of it, can't be that hard. Everyone else is putting their phone game on
leave the
Switch.
microtransactions intact and everything, just like.
Yeah,
Like
except that it's
Nintendo's the only
already
one who
wrapping
doesn't want
up.
to put their.
Pardon?
Yeah, it is kind of slowly wrapping up. The Shuffle is kind of. It's sort
Wrapping
of
up
winding
for
down now.
As is Badge Arcade, Mitomo. Like,
Yeah.
seems like that era of their first round of these microtransaction things is they're kind of wrapping it up, and round 2 is going to be their new major online service.
Rusty's
and,
Real Deal Baseball wrapped up real early.
Yeah, and crap like Animal Crossing, Pocket Cramps.
Although some of us have been playing that more recently than others.
Yeah, and that one is still being supported. Like, they're still releasing new content for it, so they're still trying to push it, at least.
That's right. Recently it was Gulliver who started doing it, right? So.
Yeah, Gulliver got added today, actually. But he doesn't. It's like he doesn't do anything that makes him worthwhile to justify his existence in the game. So, like so much of Pocket Camp.
When I think of the Pokemon,
yeah.
Pokemon main series games are big business, no doubt. But when I think of them, first of all, it's not entirely a Nintendo property. Secondly, when you start comparing it to the other big evergreen titles like the Mario Kart, like the Zelda, the Mario, like Smash, I don't think that Pokemon holds that same value long term. It tends to cycle more, and so they'll wait for the next. It doesn't keep selling, a year later.
But it is a console seller, though. If they released a Pokemon game.
I know what you mean.
It's a heavy hitter in that way, but it's not going to be a long-term asset in the same way that the others will.
Right.
I know what you're saying. It's there's a core fan base for Pokemon that's always there, but they always expect a new Pokemon.
A new game. Yeah.
Like if it's too long, they start barking and frothing at the mouth if it's too long before the next Pokemon game.
There will be people that will continue to play it until the next game is released, but there won't be people continuing to buy it.
Yeah.
Which is what Barry is saying.
And once the new game is released, that one's sales will drop to next to nothing.
X and Y is dead when Sun and Moon comes out.
And here's what I would argue. Well, maybe.
Some degree.
You know what, to some degree or other, but X and Y, oddly enough, was the one that hung around even after Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby came out. It seemed like
I still feel like that was the big one for 3DS. Actually,
there were certain holdouts to X and Y for some reason, which it seemed like there was a lot more content in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire to me, but whatever.
Well, that's because it was a remake of an older one, so it wasn't the new generation.
Yeah, that's true. That's why they felt, but it contained them. Like you could still, you know what I mean? It still had the next most or you know what I mean? It was still the same Pokédex as XY with more stuff in it, like they always do from game to game. But yeah, there was something non-canon about it to people or something. I don't know.
But the ones that don't introduce the new ones tend not to be as big a push, I find.
It seems like. That said, though, Pokemon is the closest thing that Nintendo's had to a persistent world, right? A persistent game world, and it's the way they do it is by constantly releasing a new cartridge every, 18 months, as opposed to releasing constant content updates. But it's
Two new
almost
cartridges.
Well, yeah, 2 new cartridges, but right, it's almost like they've just been releasing DLC since the first Pokemon games. Like it's, you know what I mean? It's the same basic idea where they just are taking the same game and expanding on it every time, charging you a little more to continue your experience, transfer all your same save data, all your Pokies on to the next game. Like, you know what I mean? It is kind of a persistent, constantly upgrading world, but you get to keep all your Pokies, and you know what I mean? There's still this entire community and battle scene and trade scene that exists online around it.
I think they need a definitive Pokemon
more
game that never changes, and they just add everything through DLC.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, it would seem like maybe that's the way to go with Pokemon in the future, and I don't know if they will or not. But right, where it's just you once you're in on Pokemon, you're just paying for occasional DLC updates, and it's just you have your Pokemon game for this console, and you know what I mean. You just
it does have more continuity to the series in terms of being able to transfer over and story and interrelated areas. Whereas we look at something like the Zelda franchise, you got all these stories that have some similar elements, and they try and tie them together to a wonky timeline. But
there's no timeline.
Well,
No, I know what you. No. I know what you mean.
More connected than others, but they try and make it a consistent world. But
no, and I know. I'm just saying
it doesn't have the same level of that as the Pokemon do.
I'm just chuckling with their attempt. I'm chuckling at their attempt to put it on a timeline. Because it really is.
I don't think they think about the timeline until after the game's already been made.
I think the timeline is something they just made up to so people would stop asking about a timeline.
Yeah.
It's just like we have this basic setting and this basic concept, and we've got this new piece of hardware, and we're going to make it's this. You're right. We just take that same basic concept, the same basic general idea, and we're going to make the definitive version of that game for this console. And maybe we'll throw in this or that gimmick into this one or that one to make it a little different. But it's like, I think that's the way they approach it. And so it's not the story being coherent doesn't matter. And then, here's another thing. I remember this about Japanese cartoons. Robotech is made up, that it's American, import Robotech is made up of 3 actual different Japanese cartoons in Japan: Macross, Southern Cross, and the Mosquito one.
Picross.
Picross. But right, what they were is in Japan, a studio would release like 3 series that all had a similar name, a similar theme, but the stories didn't necessarily have anything to do with each other. Super Dimensional Fortress Macross and Super Dimensional Space Cavalry Southern Cross both came out at the same time, had nothing whatsoever to do with each other. They just came out from the same studio, looked kind of similar. They both featured giant robots fighting off, invading aliens, right? They had all these
every anime.
Yeah, okay, but they had all these thematic and style elements together, and studios would do this back in the day, where they would release a set of shows that were all kind of related but not at all related. They were all done by the same artists, and they all have a similar look, and they all have similar themes and styles and sort of crossover things, but they're not really related story-wise in any way. And I think that's just the same way they approach the Zelda series. It's just, this is every time it's a reimagining of the same story, right?
Yeah. Do you think Pokemon needs like a new update with like new mechanics and
yes,
like like a Breath of the Wild kind of facelift?
Yes, abso-frigging-lutely. Like, seriously, I mean, people have barked about a Pokemon MMO forever. Breath of the Wild proves that Nintendo can build an MMO capable world. That's a world fit for an MMO. and they proved they could build that. So now they just need that's the next natural evolution for Pokemon, and they can still keep the RPG elements. You know, they can even make the battles turn-based, but you need to roam around an MMO world with other people and find Pokies, you know, in the grass, you know, actual, you know, no more of this. You run through the grass and have a random encounter BS. There's actual Pokies in the damn grass, and you go out and you friggin' hunt them down and capture them. Like, you know what I mean? That's
Monster
what
Hunter
want.
Pokemon.
That's what people have always wanted. The closest we've gotten so far is Pokemon Go, and it's still not quite there. People want, you know what people want. Everyone knows at this point what people want. They want, like you said, Breath of the Wild Pokemon, and they want it MMO. They want it with live other people, you know, alongside them catching Pokés in the same patch of grass. That's eventually got to happen, and the sooner it happens, the more money Nintendo will make, and the bigger of a deal it'll be.
Like a Pokemon Go, where you don't have to leave your house.
Yeah, but and with actual, you know what I mean. It's you are not a Poke person. Pokemon Go is in no way bears no resemblance to a mainline Pokemon game. You agree, Jason?
Very small. It's based on it. It's based on it. It's not
based on it.
I am not a Pokemon.
It's like reading a pamphlet version of a 2-hour movie. It's like reading, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pokemon Go is like reading a 1-page or 1-paragraph description of the main. I mean, maybe I'm not giving it enough credit, Jason, but you know what I mean. It's as stripped down as you can possibly imagine. It's a ghost of a mainline Pokemon game.
It's a mobile version of a Pokemon game in truest of sense. It's like Pokemon Light. There's catching Pokemon, there's battling Pokemon, but it's very simplified.
It's as light as possible, like the basest core elements.
Right. But what you're saying too about Pokemon needing a sort of new face, sort of move into a new area, you know, they've done this with the anime, and I don't know how they've improved it so much, but they give it a totally new look. So I'm thinking, you know, they're thinking the same thing. And this has been a very unsuccessful, or rather a very less popular, I should say, generation among Pokemon fans. I think the current game.
We know about the bitterness and the unhappiness with Ultra Sun and Moon.
Right.
Pokemon, yeah, you're right. You're right. That indicates that they know Pokemon is in need of a reboot. When they start changing up the anime, it's like when they add a new character to a sitcom. They know it's hurting. They know it needs some help. And I think, Zelda. The Zelda fan base had to be shrinking. Who the hell played Skyward Sword? I liked it. Most people were like, all right. You know, it was pretty good. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was because I love the gimmick mechanic of the sword swiping. But I know a lot of people didn't play it. Like when I talked to, interest in Zelda had waned, and now it's back like wildfire. And I think they could really reignite Pokemon the same way. If they really, but they'd have to. They just got to pull it out, and they know they do. Like, you know what I mean? They pulled off an amazing 1-2 punch with Zelda and Mario. Mario wasn't quite the complete glorious reboot that Zelda was, but it was, you know, now that I've played more of it, it was absolutely as legitimate an entry in the franchise as Galaxy or 64 or whatever the one is that people harken back to, or even Sunshine, or, you know, it's to me it's every bit those games, and it enhances them in, you know, as at least as much as those games enhanced their respective, you know, predecessors. So they just need to do the same thing with Pokemon.
So you think they'll give us a Rumble type this year and put an extra year's worth of work to try to get it
have to
level?
They have to. To me, they have to, because it has to be good. It has to be right. It has to be awesome. Or it just kills the franchise. Or, you know what I mean? It doesn't help, and it just, interest continues to wane.
Yeah. I think they should see too, talking about Pokemon Go, they should look at the type of demographics that played Pokemon Go. you don't run into little kids playing Pokemon Go that much. It's older adults, even senior adults used to be out playing this game. So
that also requires that you have a cell phone and data plan and stuff like that, which little kids aren't going to have, probably.
And a car in many cases, right?
Right. But I mean, you don't see children out playing that much. When I run into people playing Pokemon Go, it's people college age and older. So I'm thinking they need to look into that there's a wider fan base to the Pokemon series, and I'd like to see a maturity brought to this series myself.
But you know what?
Don't have to be mature, but not play as an 11-year-old again.
Well, okay, but see, to me, there would be something weird to be playing Pokemon as like an adult trainer. I don't know. Somehow there's something like, and maybe it's because I got into it much later. Like I didn't play it as a kid. I only, it was when I started dating my wife. She's like, "You've never played a Pokemon game?" So I started with Black and White. So to me, there's something just adorable about how you have to go check in with your mom every so often and all that kind of stuff, And again, especially as a new parent. So, go ahead.
It don't have to be an adult, but like Pokemon Coliseum, if you've played that, it's a darker story. The character is older. It's like a teenager's type character.
Okay.
So, I'd like to see that myself.
All right.
Pokemon Noir.
Fair enough. I mean, right, and they got Detective Pikachu. That it's still a kid's game, but at least they're playing with the formula a little bit,
Right.
But again, that also indicates that they're like, we got to breathe some new life into this Pokemon action.
Yeah, they'll still. It's going to take a lot to get something, like somebody like me into it, though. I don't know if they're at that point now where they need to start really bringing new players in.
They do. Well, that's the thing. Here's the thing.
Like so with Zelda did, I've never played through a Zelda, never really had interest in Zelda. And I played through and loved Breath of the Wild.
Exactly. And here's what Nintendo would figure out and should have figured out from Pokemon Go. There is this, you know what I mean? Everybody from that generation, even if you didn't play Pokemon, you heard of it, you remember it, it was ubiquitous. And so even, you know what I mean? It's like way more than people who played it at the time.
My daughter knows Pokemon, and I don't know how. She certainly didn't get it from me.
Yeah.
But when we go to Toys R Us and she sees the Pokemon figures, she's like, "Hey, Pokemon."
So if they were to take something, if they were to do something like Breath of the Wild for Pokemon, I mean, just could you imagine how many friggin' Switches? Yeah. The Switch would overtake the PS4 at that point. Easily.
Yeah, I mean, when Pokemon came out, I was too old for it.
If they pulled out, same here. It was that and Power Rangers were shit for kids. I was not into that at all. But if they pulled off the most beautiful Pokemon MMO that people have been clamoring for literally a decade or two, and put it on the Switch, that's how you win this console generation, hands frigging down. Because there's just, again, Pokemon Go proves that there is millions, if not billions of people worldwide that are like, yeah, I'd play a Pokemon MMO.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it. That's just, they have to know that's out there. Pokemon Go proves it's out there. They have to know that money's just waiting for them to take. And Breath of the Wild proves they could take it.
Good points. So, I guess we should move on to more things that Mo has no interest in. And that would, of course, be talking about the Funimation app.
Absolutely.
See, we're trying to get him on the anime bandwagon. So if any of y'all out there listening, some way to get this guy hooked.
Doesn't Funimation have American stuff too? Don't they have I thought I saw they also had some classic American cartoons.
See, I think I'm just not an animation guy in general. I still don't, I don't really jump on on Simpsons or South Park so much. You know, I just might not be an animation guy. Been watching a lot more Disney lately.
Well, that's the thing is, and Disney, don't get me wrong, Disney's quality stuff, but Japan, they've never had that mindset that animation is just for little kids like we have in America. That's always been a thing, right? Animation has always been a legitimate art form. And over here, we've just never looked at it the same way. You know, here and there have been some exceptions, but right, the Ralph Bakshi era and like stuff like what were some of those like kind of raunchy cartoons, American movies that came out in like the 80s?
Ziggy.
Heavy Metal.
Oh.
Heavy Metal was, well, yeah. How could I forget Heavy Metal? That was an amazing one. But there was a whole.
I can appreciate it as art and everything. It just, for some reason, it just doesn't click with me. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Here's the thing. To me, the storytelling style of much of the anime series just irks me. And I know it's a Japanese culture thing. That said, the storytelling style of most American television and movies and whatever I think is terrible as well. So it's just, I don't know. I guess I'm just picky in general. So but the wife has a massive Ghibli collection. Those are all fun and interesting and crazy to watch, but they're not like a traditional story that you're sitting through. It's just an hour and a half or two of just bizarre images with weird, story fragments woven through them. I'm kind of off topic. Point being, does Funimation does it have free content? Because I'd be down.
Yeah, they do have an app for the phone, and I did check on it. And it does. In the beginning, it did not, but I do believe now it does allow for free users to use the app, of course, with ads and such.
Hey, and I imagine, ad supported free content. That's perfectly legitimate, acceptable. And like on, I'm a recent convert to this whole streaming thing, so I know like on the Roku and stuff, there is more and more free. It's just like having a television again. There's more and more free commercial supported material to watch on your Roku and your Fire Stick and your whatever these days.
Yeah.
So that's fine. I'll accept that, and it might entice me to spend. It's what, $6 a month for if it's got good stuff on it. Versus
Jason watches the free Crunchyroll. It's like ad supported, right?
Yeah. Same deal.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to more media stuff on this thing, and again, I think it's all coming after the online. But I like for you, Mo. I think like if stuff like Funimation is showing up, like right, we've had what, Netflix, Hulu, in YouTube on the 3DS, and then the Wii and the Wii U had those plus Amazon and Crunchyroll, basically.
Yeah.
Am I missing one?
We've never had a Funimation.
No, I didn't have Funimation. I had Crunchyroll. What was it wasn't Napster, but Rhapsody, which
Rhapsody,
some
bought Napster or vice versa.
Yeah, like that nobody cared about that I'm aware of.
But
right, it's just we've had and there's dozens, if not over 100 media streaming apps on all the other consoles. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's not even remotely in the same ballpark. Like even the PS3, Xbox 360 era, like my PS3, I've got 2 or 3 dozen various media streaming apps. Like it's and that's just the ones I've downloaded. There's probably 150 available. Like it's not even ever been in the same ballpark. And I'm really, for someone like you, Mo, I'm really like, I'm excited for the stuff that I imagine is coming. Again, if Funimation's talking about it, then that means everybody is.
Oh.
No, maybe, but probably not. Nintendo, they would never. Nintendo would. But you know what I mean. It just to me that means you're gonna have dozens of online streaming channels, many of which will have free content stuff that as a primarily Nintendo console owner only, that you just would only at least have had on your Fire Stick up to this, and now you have them on a nice portable tablet,
right? But also, it seems like Funimation, like people were announcing like Funimation's coming, and then Funimation kind of issued a response to me that made it seem like it wasn't really coming.
The story that we're getting at here, if you haven't heard, it was announced to be in development at C2E2. I don't know what that is. Some kind of expo.
It's like R2D2's cousin.
Probably. But he does video games. But then Funimation comes back on Twitter and is like, hey, guys, chill out. There's no official announcement for that. We're working on getting it to the platform, but there's nothing to announce.
You know what? Now that we're talking about it again, I didn't think about this earlier, but this is a little reminiscent of the way the Netflix thing went kind of back and forth with he said, she said, no, we didn't say that kind of thing with the Netflix.
Yeah.
So it really seems like everybody's under some non-disclosure agreement with Nintendo, and they make a statement, and then Nintendo comes back and says, no, you're not supposed to say that.
Yeah.
Or something.
I don't know, but Netflix had said that they were all ready to go and pull the trigger, and they were just waiting on Nintendo, and then
but then they came back,
and then they backtracked and said, like,
a little bit.
Nope, it's not in development. We have nothing to announce. Like,
so
something weird's going on with streaming.
They do kind of feel like I do have a feeling like Nintendo's going to drop 24 streaming channels with the announcement of their online service. Just bam.
That's something that we had discussed when this first came up, just amongst us, and that was, will the online service have some type of feature to it, or like a channel maybe that has all these streaming services put in one place? And now you guys said that there were some of the other platforms like PlayStation and Xbox have something like that, right?
Well, in terms of like the way the eShop's organized, or just have its own little...
How the streaming services are handled on
like for example, even on the PS3, media is its own little section of the menu. So if you download the HBO app, or you download the whatever app, that goes into its own little section. That said, automatically, if you download a virtual console title for quote unquote virtual console title, if you download one of their old PS1 or PS2 titles or whatever, it automatically goes into its own little folder for that. Outside of that, I don't remember if you could even create your own subfolders or not. So they just have their own interface quirks. But Nintendo's thing is we're a game machine first. All this other stuff is periphery crap. So whereas Sony's always been the TV home theater system, one of the TV home theater system companies. So for them, this was a natural extension. Microsoft has always just been aping Sony.
It's just like they always had DVD and Blu-ray players, and Nintendo doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of the way they do it. Yeah, and Sony, just to point it out, even the PS3 early days, that was one of the early DLNA machines, right? That you could just point your Sony to your hard drive full of music or movies or whatever, point your PS3 to it, and it would stream it for you. Right? Nintendo's just, again, when did the PS3 launch?
Was that PS2, PS3 that had that feature?
I think
you could like play GTA and pump your own songs into it.
I'm pretty sure that was not until the PS3, because I don't think the PS2 it really had that downloadable component yet.
That might have been off the memory card too, but it was still a thing.
Maybe, but yeah. Point being is, I don't know. Maybe the PS2 has some of those basic capabilities as well, because even the PS1, it's right. Nintendo's Trojan horse was the stupid robot. Sony's Trojan horse was the DVD player. You can and it's the same thing for the PS3 with Blu-rays. That was the way they got PS3s into the home, is they dropped the price to the cost of the other Blu-ray players that didn't play PS3 games. Remember that when a Blu-ray player cost $200, or you could buy a PS3 for $250.
I don't know. PS3 didn't have a crazy high price.
It did when it launched.
Like $500 or something.
This is why the Xbox initially won the day. But I would bet if you look at what people still have and still use, I bet you the PS3 is still active in far more homes than the Xbox 360 is. Because it was an elegant media solution. It's still, I still use it as such. I haven't upgraded to a PS4, and I'll probably pick one of those up when they're on their way out the door, like I did with the PS3. But it's a really good, solid, for the occasions that I want to play one of my 3D Blu-rays, or just as for the particular TV it's hooked up at. It's a really good streaming device with a lot of streaming channels on it. It's not the Roku, but it's a reasonable alternative with all the main ones, at least HBO and Netflix and whatever else, right? So it's just, again, and when did that thing come out? It's so many years ahead of anything Nintendo has even approached. Hey, we got an app for Hulu. Hey, and we've had apps for Netflix, Amazon, and YouTube. Like, it's so not even in the same ballpark. Again, whenever I think about it, it's just, they should be embarrassed. They should be so embarrassed.
Do you think the thing with Hulu was more, instead of an agreement where that one got to come out first, it sort of slipped through, where they were planning on holding back all the media stuff, but that one showed up before time?
I think they had to throw a bone to users. And I think I know Hulu's offering deep discounts, whereas Netflix is raising its prices. Hulu seems to be losing big content. Every time I check Hulu, they've still got, things like Saturday Night Live and stuff, but for a while, they had a lot of big movies, and now they're getting a lot more, like, I don't know. They just don't seem to be getting anywhere near the volume of content that or good content that Amazon and Netflix have at this point. And again, they're offering much deeper price cuts. They're offering price cuts. Nobody else is. So I think they probably had, they were willing to enter into some kind of bargain with Nintendo to get the exposure and the early exclusivity. And maybe that irked the other people or didn't. Maybe they don't. I don't think anybody views Hulu as all that much of a threat these days. So I don't know. I think Nintendo knew people needed something, or people like Mo would be having more of a fit. Say I think it's the same reason Nico came out in Japan. They just needed to have something to quell the masses, my opinion.
I don't know. I'm surprised that we still haven't even seen like a YouTube or something like
YouTube. It seems
free.
like the most likely answer to the problems, rather than Hulu.
Yeah, like even YouTube, it's like you can, with the Movies Anywhere stuff, you can watch your movies that you've purchased through YouTube app.
Yeah, but Google doesn't sell. Well, if they were trying to push YouTube Red or whatever, I suppose, but I don't see Google wanting to push as hard as Hulu.
Yeah,
I see Hulu potentially approaching Nintendo and offering them some amount of money, and Nintendo going, all right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I think happened.
That
paid a
was
whole
always
bunch
my
of money
feeling.
to be the one and only.
Right.
For a long time.
To be the early launch. And Nintendo thought, well, it works for us because people are clamoring for some kind of video streaming app. Well, okay, we'll give them this for now.
And maybe they have planning on giving them anything. Yeah.
Maybe they have some kind of exclusivity deal here, and they can't have another streaming app for such and such period of time.
A year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I think and I think that may be why Hulu came out right at the time it did last year. Didn't it come out right around September?
Yeah, probably around there.
I bet you it's going to work out to pretty much 1 year to the day or to the week that Hulu came out, that the online service drops with a bunch of new streaming services.
It is kind of impressive how quiet Nintendo has been on that front of, really, they addressed it before the system came out, kind of, and then
pushed it back a year.
Haven't really addressed anything else about, said anything about media. Although they also, I don't feel like they've really been doing anything hard to promote Hulu either.
No, it's just it's there. They mentioned it. Did they mention it in any sort of direct or anything? I mean, I remember it being some sort of announcement.
I can tell you.
I don't remember now. It wasn't a big deal, whatever they said about it, but I just remember we were all surprised.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a special placement in the eShop or anything, right?
No, it's just
Nothing
lost like everything else. So you don't know it's there unless you specifically are searching for it.
And you would never think to search for it because you never see when any of your friends are watching it.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Way to promote streaming service. I don't know.
Moving on.
Funimation. All right.
We got to move on more quickly because we're
falling asleep.
Yeah.
We're pausing too long between topics.
All right. We're going to skip ahead a little bit here. We're going to talk about a little bit of a exclusivity thing here. So, SNK Tag Team Heroines. So, it was going to be exclusive to PlayStation 4, but Nintendo of Europe met with SNK and NISA at Gamescom in 2017, and they were able to get break up the Sony's exclusivity with this company and get it to come to Switch. Not only did they get it to come to Switch, but they are also getting a physical version on Switch, and it will be digital only on PlayStation. So, kind of a big move by Nintendo there.
I mean, it's not. And I thought it was interesting. It's not a huge coup or anything, but it's
something.
It's to me, it's representative of the overall mindset. They're obviously not the only ones that are thinking this way. You know, there's money to be made here. You know, it's at least from that perspective, it's a good time to be a Nintendo fan. I don't care about SNK Heroines necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody does, but like I said, I think I've said that in the past as well. I think Nintendo's really positioned this system pretty well if you're into fighters. Like, there's a lot of fighters and there's more coming.
I'm surprised Nintendo. To me, one thing they should push for their legitimate competitive experience is a legit fight stick piece peripheral. Themselves, a Nintendo branded fight stick for all these fighting
Switch
games they're going to be pushing.
Advantage.
Yeah, and maybe they're just going to push an updated GameCube controller when Smash comes out. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see them doing a Bluetooth one.
That would sell in just droves. A Pro controller with HD Rumble and Amiibo support.
Pro controller, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to have all the modern stuff, but otherwise exactly a GameCube controller design with a little IR port on the side and everything. I would love that. It
would work.
And millions would buy that. That would be, they could sell that for $80 and easily
if they didn't include an IR sensor, I think it would do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they could knock the price down some.
Yeah. I mean, the Pro controller doesn't even have the IR sensor.
Oh, that's true. I know IR sensor, no Amiibo support even. Drop the Amiibo support if that saves them a few bucks.
Yeah. I can't use a picture of that saving them much.
Unless they're
seriously, if you can make then okay, so then all you have at that point is a GameCube controller that's wireless with HD Rumble.
So you've got a Wavebird that's got HD Rumble.
Yeah. Although people would complain about latency, so it would have to be like the Pro controller where you can still plug it in if you want.
And again, I will point out that some rinky-dink third-party company called 8BitDo has produced something the size of a Super Nintendo controller, which is not very big, that has motion control, not HD Rumble, but regular Rumble. It definitely can be done. And obviously Nintendo packed all that crap into those tiny ass Joy-Cons. So packing all that tech into a GameCube form factor with a battery and everything else should be no problem.
Right. But it's like I wonder what the price on SNK Heroines is going to be versus I know the physical one's going to be more than the digital one. We already know that much.
Well, that's a good point.
And maybe there was really no reason to put it out physically on other systems because they knew it wasn't really going to sell. Like I said, I feel like this is very, very niche, even among the fighter fans, to just be like, this is only the female fighters.
from a kind of a niche series to begin with.
Yeah, I mean,
There
you
was
got to be a Neo Geo fan pretty deep.
Yeah.
Or just maybe it's one of those things where it's appealing to the scantily clad anime girl fans. You know?
Yeah, it'll definitely do better in Japan than it does here.
Yeah.
There was a pretty neat little comment here from the president of NISA, which is, I don't know if that's pronounced NISA or NISA, but whatever. They support us in a good way. Compared to that, Sony is not friendly with small publishers like us. They just care about big Japanese companies. I think that kind of sums up how this deal went down, what Nintendo is selling. They're selling that, what do they call it? Indies approach kind of thing.
Now, here's something I will say, though, from having followed this for a while, is it seems like with just about every console, there are developers that say you're friendly and helpful and great, and then developers that you pissed off or turned away or said we don't like your stuff. And it's just finding that right balance, right? Because Nintendo's had this history with developers not being.
Yeah, I feel like especially during the Wii U, they really stepped that up because they didn't have support from anybody other than indies.
And this is the funny thing about Nintendo. When you look back at Nintendo's history of the company, like their business practices, they were constantly, in litigation for anti-competitive, monopolistic practices, and they were guilty, but they often got away with it because of their lawyers. But right, Nintendo has had to become a better company over the years. They really did kind of start out as kind of a greedy, like it's interesting. You know what I mean? This stuff has been part of their DNA from the get-go. They've learned to be a little better about some of these things over the years, but it's taken some time, and in some cases it's taken some teeth pulling. But yeah, they've really been the turnaround, especially on the indie scene, right? They are the indie hero nowadays.
Yeah, they're they're probably the most indie friendly, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Or they're the one you hear the most about, but that's because they don't have the huge titles that go to every other system and PC. So they kind of are in the position to court the indies and raise them up a little bit more because they don't have the big AAA titles hitting all the time like all the other consoles do yet.
Yeah. So it's nice to hear positive things. It's also nice to hear, hey, this is coming out on Switch. That's coming out on Switch. That's right. My news.
And I mean, we don't talk about it, but there's every week that we call a slow news week. What all the news sites are publishing is, hey, this is coming to Switch. Hey, this is coming to Switch. Hey, this is coming to Switch. It's nothing we've ever heard of, but
sometimes it's just not something.
Or rarely, yeah.
Here's the thing: is most cases it's something cheaper somewhere else if you have the platform or the means.
I mean,
it's a lot of indies and an occasional,
and it is and don't get me wrong. I would say there's at least one title a week out of the batch that I think, okay, that looks decent.
I'll wait for that to price drop.
Yeah, I might consider that, but then it's already got such a huge backlog of that stuff, and again, it's stuff that can be, from bundles and stuff, generally cheaper elsewhere. So unless it's something in particular that's like, all right, that's worth a few bucks to try out, most of it I'm going to pass on. So,
I mean, to give an example of that happened this week, as we were looking at a game that was announced to be coming out this Thursday, which is when you'll be listening to this. And we did a little research, and it's like, oh, by the way, this is a mobile port. Well, that kind of killed part of it. And it's also free on another platform, so, yeah.
Now, I read an 8 out of 10 review on one of the major sites, though, that said that it really was a step up from the mobile version in terms of,
well, just having a controller.
Yeah.
We're talking about Skies of Fury, people.
That's right.
Sorry. That just having a controller, it felt like the game finally found its its place, like with an actual controller. And what, right? Don't we have some kind of multiplayer capability, online multiplayer that's Switch exclusive or something?
I think it's local multiplayer.
Oh, it's local
online,
multi. That's right.
It's always local.
Always local.
If you haven't seen the game though, it's really beautiful. It looks good on my phone.
It's pretty.
On Switch.
Yeah.
So.
I mean,
price drop.
If you have an iOS phone, you go pick it up for free right now though and play it. We have to watch some ads on occasion, but it's not too bad. Give you an idea.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say to give you an idea of whether you would like it or not.
Yeah, that's your demo since they don't have one in the eShop.
And I know mobile ports are kind of our benchmark for crap, but again, we've gotten some grief on that topic for dismissing so many of these mobile ports as crap, and I admit that we maybe are a little flippant, but
yeah,
right. A lot of mobile games simply are crap. I'm sorry to say, we all know this. And many of those crappy mobile games have made it into our Switch eShop. It is what it is. But there's, on the flip side, there's things like Fortnite mobile that is the current global phenomenon.
I think this one caught our eye, as being, it looks like a quality title.
Yeah.
But then when you hear, and when you see $20, you think, oh, maybe, and then you hear it's a mobile.
Yeah, $20.
And you go, $20.
Like, hard. Like a $5 or $10, I can take.
It becomes a matter of principle more than anything else to me, anyway.
No, fair enough. But I do think when we're going to see Fortnite mobile, or we're going to see Fortnite on Switch, I'm pretty certain. And it's probably going to be the mobile port. And I think we're going to have to come to grips with that. And it's going to come down to, do you want it on a bigger screen with legit controls, or do you want to try playing it on a phone? And I think the Switch is going to win in most cases, even with the higher price tags. For things that are worth it. Something like Fortnite.
I will
mobile,
also say, by the way, for our Android friends, Skies of Fury is also available.
Okay.
On Android, I did just double check, but I think obviously the mobile people are making money there, and I almost feel like it's an industry thing. Like maybe there's an industry website, or that where mobile developers go, and they're like, hey, everybody, get in on this Switch thing, because it's
I don't think
like
there
Steam.
needs to be a website at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like Steam. You know how indie developers get lost on Steam because there's a billion games. But mobile developers get lost on mobile. But on Switch, you've got a spotlight.
You do for the week.
For a week.
Here's the other thing about it is Steam was where the reason Steam is what it is now is because that was the hot spot for all the indie devs back in the day when it started. Switch will get to that point. The thing is about a console, and this is something I didn't really think about. Steam's one thing that's cool about Steam is if you have an account on Steam, I got a buddy who's been on Steam for 12 years, and his library is just always been there. So he's just constantly building his library. His games never go anywhere. When you upgrade your machine, you still have all your same games. Now on the flip side, a new console just wipes the slate clean again.
Yeah, and that does suck. I mean, I've bought SteamWorld Dig now 3 times.
It sucks from the aspect of a consumer, basically, but it doesn't suck for them, because not only do we rebuy stuff, it's also a case for new devs to say, okay, this is a fresh, clean slate. It's every new console is a place for new devs to get noticed for a little while.
Right.
So but at some point the Switch is going to be as much of a mess as it's going to be more of a mess than the Wii U. More of a mess than
they don't start curating it
and organizing and giving us
some
sort of folders and
the same thing we mention every week.
The same thing we've complained about since the launch of the Switch, and I don't think it's going to be rectified until our online service. I really think that's going to be the silver bullet for a lot of these things.
Hope so.
We'll see, man. I don't know. I almost feel like we're giving them way too much credit.
I think
they did say it took them a year to do the frigging news.
It's probably going to be the same thing we've got now. It's just going to cost us $20.
All right.
And we'll have more online capable indie titles probably, but go ahead, third party.
All right, we're going to reel it in here to our final topic of the night, and it is what we started out talking about. So going back to the beginning, GameStop. So there was an earnings call with the CEO of GameStop, Mike Mahler, and he is talking about the Switch being a whole different platform for the Wii U, and that this year is looking very, very strong. And 2018 slate of titles is one thing that he had mentions, and that this will be something that the software will push the hardware. And he says many of those games are unannounced. So what we've been talking about all night with Pokemon and Smash and other, well, Smash has been announced, but other things that have not been announced. Sounds like they are there, and GameStop is aware of them, but not us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Like I said, they could be just holding everything back for E3. I guess we'll see. I can't wait till they announce how long their presentation will be this year. We'll see if it's another 24-minute or.
It'll always be shorter than people expect. They'll always, you know, that's just how they are.
It's hard to say, but yeah, I mean, hopefully, I want to believe that's that you're gonna have to try to decide which games you're buying this year because there's so much quality. I just wish they would have spread it out a little bit more evenly.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I think it was just foolish to release ARMS when they did. I mean, even at the time, we thought it was stupid to release it right between Mario Kart and Splatoon. But it's just like, man, you could have had something for now. And
Yeah.
But I do think they're going to try to knock it out of the park with E3. So they got Smash, they got Labo. They better have some other big crap lined up because that's all I'm only going to give them so far.
I can't believe you even mentioned Labo in the same breath as Smash.
Because you know it's something. Because am I in the minority in thinking that's going to be a substantial part of their booth for E3?
Oh no, I think it'll be a substantial part of their booth. But ARMS was a substantial part of their booth last year.
It was the event I went to. It was a substantial part.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's going to be half of their booth, and a quarter. One of the other quarters of their booth is going to be the Splatoon 2 DLC.
Treehouse is going to be sitting in cardboard chairs.
Oh yeah, they'll do long demos.
I think there will be a nice little Labo section for people to play with. I don't expect Labo to really take off mainstream huge.
No.
But
I do think they're going to push it hard this E3.
I think Smash is going to be a huge thing this E3. That's going to be their booth. I think that's probably going to be their big game, unless they do have some other heavy hitters. Like you said, I would love to see an Animal Crossing this year. I think it'd be fine for fall.
Pikmin 4. That's been coming for a long time.
Done forever. Supposedly. I think they said last year it's still coming along nicely, even though in 2015 or whatever they said it was almost done. So
maybe they're having a hard time getting it on the portable platform.
They could just maybe they're having trouble with the online. They could have been porting it over to Switch from Wii U or whatever, and then had some other idea, and we're like, oh. Because didn't they say that wasn't their issue with Breath of the Wild is they were working on it for so long, and then they kind of had some fresh new ideas and kind of started all over again. So it could be something like that. The longer it goes, I'm starting to think we're not going to get Pikmin 3 remastered.
Yeah, that'd have made much more sense than Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
I think so,
but a much heavier lift.
Thing is, Donkey Kong still kind of got that name recognition, Donkey Kong.
Pikmin wouldn't.
True.
Yeah, Pikmin wouldn't.
Yeah.
But also, here's the other thing: a side scroller that never had anything going on the bottom screen whatsoever, whereas Pikmin had touchscreen controls and motion. It's a heavier lift. It's a full 3D game. It was a beautiful game for the Wii U. That was still, to me, that was the game. That was the first game that I saw that said, "Wow, this is really like." Nintendo finally has a real next generation console. That game was gorgeous.
Pikmin 3, yeah. That's still my favorite. I mean, even probably more than Splatoon as much as I loved Splatoon, Pikmin 3 was an amazing little game, and I replayed it so many times, and I feel like that's one that slipped through the cracks. And because it was on the effing Wii U, it's one that you're not going to be able to keep playing for 20 or 30 years. Like, it's a masterpiece that's tied to that dead piece of hardware, I feel like.
That's the thing, dude. I don't think, Nintendo, man, they will mine the Wii U for every nugget of gold it's got.
I hope so. I mean, I could easily see Pikmin being something cool that you could use the Joy-Con to have kind of the Wii control and then pull it out of the dock and you've got the touch control, like.
I think I may have been, somebody mentioned on a previous pod about a potential Pikmin 1 through 3 remaster. I think that's probably the most likely scenario if for the next Pikmin package we would see.
Yeah. Whatever, there is a Pikmin problem where they just can't seem to get the general public excited about it. Like, I was just like, hey, it's one of the free titles that came with Mario Kart 8. I guess I'll try it. And I ended up enjoying it way more than I enjoyed Mario Kart 8. Although they were both great games.
You're right. Everybody I know, like that friend of mine who's total like a bro shooter type player, like he got way into Pikmin 3. And that was not when he was laid up with a colostomy bag playing Star Fox Zero. Like, he got way into that, beat the crap out of it, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And it just seemed, and again, he only picked it up because there's just nothing else out to buy.
Pikmin is hard. It's a hard one to leap. It's a leap of faith. And I think a lot of it's been around for years, but it's still not really established to that tier.
But everybody I know who has ever played one raves about it. I've never talked to anybody that was like, those games suck.
Yeah. But it's never had a title on a really popular system. There wasn't one on Wii.
Wait, didn't they release
Control? Yeah, they did the new Play Control, Pikmin 1 and 2. But
yeah, they did that.
It was GameCube and Wii U.
Launch on a big console. It was always on the Cube and Wii U. Yeah.
So, and then the 3DS one just was awful. So.
But yeah, it became one of the most popular in our family was Pikmin 3. And when I think about games that highlighted the Wii U's graphics and made it look really good, it's top 3. I would put it with Mario Kart 8 and then Breath of the Wild, sort of beginning, middle, and end of the life cycle as the best looking games on the Wii U.
Well said. I keep forgetting that Breath of the Wild is the Wii U's, like, right at the end of every console, Nintendo releases one last big game that really takes like everything that they were able to do with that console, like everything they figured out about that console over its generation, like they eke out like every last little bit of power out of it for it.
I don't know. The NES ended with Wario Woods.
Okay, well, that's the exception. Because they played that NES out until it was that dead horse into the ground, man.
Yeah. I think Battletoads is the pinnacle of NES graphics.
Yep. But speaking about games that need a port over to the Switch from the Wii U, one that has been confirmed is Wonderful 102. So right there is 2 games that could very well be coming. I don't know how much of a console seller that would be, but
that one, to me, that was one of those ones I didn't really put. I looked at it, I watched videos, and I checked out like the gameplay stuff and how it worked, and it's like, okay, but I never really sat down and played it. That same buddy of mine that got into Star Fox Zero and Pikmin 3 also got into that one and thoroughly enjoyed it. You tried it and just couldn't, huh?
I couldn't get into it. No, I mean, it's one of the ones I would go to the websites and kind of look and see like, well, what's the high rated games? And that was one that always showed up on as a high rated game. If people were like, this is such an underrated title, and it didn't click with me, but
it did seem to have a following, though.
Yeah, enough people were into it that
it had a nice demo, and I played through the demo several times, and I loved the demo.
Yeah,
I actually bought the game, and then like about an hour into the game, if that far, this thing is dreadful. I give it a good shot, but It's not complete, and it's not going to be complete.
You don't hear Jason say that about anything.
Not much.
So yeah. Yeah, but that one's probably coming too. We'll see. They've got years. I'm wondering how long. Like, do you think in year 3 or year 4 we'll still be seeing Wii U ports coming over?
Probably.
Like where they're
I
just
think
like
so.
they're gonna make sure everything that was ever on the Wii U eventually.
I do.
lands
I think they're going to mine it for everything it's got, because every one of those is something that's already built. Doesn't require, the only R&D it requires is to port it, which is got to be way cheaper than developing a whole new game.
Yeah.
So every one of those, you know what I mean, and they're all quality. We know as Wii U owners that played all these things. There's Nintendo's titles on there are quality titles, or at least there's a few.
I said even the Mario game, which people don't necessarily love that much, but I mean 3D World, it was still an enjoyable time. I still had fun.
I don't think anything. No, I don't think. Yeah. Did people pan that one in particular?
I mean, they didn't hate it, but they were just like, this doesn't live up to the standards of when it's in between Galaxy and Odyssey.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But I don't. It's kind of like how people thought Sunshine was not. It was kind of not quite the follow up to Mario 64 that people wanted.
Yeah.
So I get that, and so same with that. But to me, it was and again, I also didn't. I recognize it as a separate thing from the Mario 64 line and whatever.
Yeah.
But to me, it was a legitimate follow up to 3D Land, which was a hell of a game. And the 4-player
imagine
stuff.
If they had online multiplayer for that one? Like,
no, that I don't know.
You could have fun. You could have fun.
Maybe with your friends, but I don't know. Like online randos, that would just be maddening.
Well,
that would be like that would be like to me. That would end up like
that's Triforce one of those games where you can't have random people.
I would invite you to play.
Yeah, Triforce Heroes. Yeah, no, it would be terrible. I think. But point being, I like the fact that they brought back. I want more 3D Mario with playable Luigi, Peach, and Toad with their individual abilities. I would love to see that patched into Super Mario Odyssey eventually. Like right when they released Super Mario 64, but you could on DS, and you could unlock Yoshi and I don't remember who else. I don't even, but that would be cool to me. I like that. I like that aspect of each of them having their own unique character abilities.
Yeah, it gives you a reason to. I mean, that's how games used to be back in the day. You'd have multiple characters that all have different abilities, and you could.
And the goal was because that made couch multiplayer fun. Yellow Warrior is about to die. That was. Can I just random since I'm again on the retro kick? I picked up a 4-score and Gauntlet 2 the other day, very cheap on eBay. All this stuff, all this NES stuff is so cheap on eBay. Just for that, and it just pales to the arcade version. But at some point, I'm going to plug in 4 controllers and sucker 3 people into playing this with me for at least a little while.
And that will be the last time in the past 20 years that 4 people have played Gauntlet on NES together.
Probably, and it'll be the last time I probably ever do,
or anyone else. But yeah, I mean, we're a little bit early for E3 predictions, but man, they better knock this out of the park. It's nice that other people are starting to acknowledge this drought that we've been talking about forever, and everyone else is kind of starting to feel. Because at first, everyone just said, "Oh, it's early. It's only January, it's only February, it's only March."
Yeah,
but after the directs have come out,
rabbit out of their ass.
Yeah, I mean, as happy as people are for Smash, it's like that's great, but we know that's not coming until at least September.
And haven't we talked about it before? Didn't somebody, one of you, probably Yumo, point out that Smash's numbers are not like it's a big showpiece title, but the sales numbers are not necessarily as big as you would think from the buzz it gets.
Yeah, it's one that you hear about all the time,
right?
But it did pretty. I mean, especially between 3DS and Wii U, it did okay, and you got to remember the Wii U didn't have, it didn't even have the install base that the Switch does. So
yeah, fair enough.
But for them to still say like they're still on target to sell 20 million, like if
It's
they
gotta
really
be
think
something
that's
else,
going to
man.
happen, they're going to have to do something. Yeah, I mean,
And again, Fallout and GTA, I think we think those are going to be part of the equation this year, don't we? That 20 million.
possibly. I don't know about
Hope
Fallout, but I
so.
feel like GTA has to.
Well, and Bethesda's just got nothing else, and they have a
Yeah.
track record of support, but it's going to depend on how these sell. I think Wolfenstein might do better than Doom just because it's a much closer release to the original.
Yeah,
And when
I'm definitely
Wolfenstein came
interested.
out, it was Mario, right? Everyone was buying Mario when Wolfenstein came out. They came out the same day.
Yeah.
So for Nintendo people, they had their big title. Now it's like, all right,
Yeah.
now I'll go back and check out Wolfenstein for a
And
full
that makes
price.
it smart for Wolfenstein not to have come to Switch at the same time as everything else. Because
No, that's
if it had
genius.
hit the Switch the same day as Odyssey,
Yeah, and I would imagine for people with both consoles, there's probably still not a ton of crossover between the two titles. They probably weren't competing with each other much.
No, I doubt it. Well, I really want to shoot some Nazis, but I think I'm going to collect some Power Moons instead.
Hey, though, you can appreciate that. You're that kind of person, as am I, where it's like sometimes I want to jump into Doom and just slaughter shit for a few hours.
I
And
want to jump into
sometimes
hell and chainsaw some demons.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes I want to pop Luigi's balloons.
Exactly. And then sometimes you just want to bounce around like a 4-year-old and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right. That's the possibility of the Nintendo Switch.
Exactly.
It feels like it's being wasted. But yeah, I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen a flood of third-party stuff. And maybe Nintendo just wants to swing its big old third-party cock around at E3 and try to say, like, look, we've got all this support now.
No, dude, no. Nintendo they have a third-party micro penis at this
right
point
now.
still. Yes.
Yeah. But you would have thought that this entire year, like I would think, and we've talked about that too, like third party stuff should be kind of flowing by now. Like they've had time to develop, they know about the stuff, they've got their dev kits. You would think that third party stuff would just be churning out all the time. So maybe they're just saying, hey, we want to hold everything back to E3 so that we can have like this amazing E3. I hope that there is a master plan. Like right now, it feels very old Nintendo, the usual same old Nintendo, and we'll find out at E3. Like that's gonna make or break my confidence behind Nintendo. I think.
Yeah, these unannounced games that GameStop seems to have wind of, I think, are going to be the defining moment for Nintendo. Hopefully for E3. Hope it doesn't go longer than that. So
definitely for 2018.
Definitely for 2018. Yep.
It's like I said, if you expect to sell more Switches this year than last year, you have to do something, and you have to do something big.
Yep.
If you haven't bitten already on Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, and you're just waiting for something else to put you over the edge, they got to show us something that's going to put those people over the edge, and maybe Smash is enough. Because then it's going to have, I mean, we know it's going to have a Mario game, a Zelda game, a Mario Kart game, and a Smash game by the end of this year.
Like, right, it's fun, again, going through my retro stuff, when I go through my collection, those are the first, like, 4 cartridges in every, or first 4 games in every slot. So, like, the first 4 discs for the Wii, or the first 4, those always the first 4 cartridges in the N64 drawer, the first 4 cartridges in the Super Nintendo. Well, first 3 because no Smash. But that's just once those are all there, it's a complete Nintendo console. Everything else is gravy at that point.
We'll see. I won't hold my breath.
All right.
Don't forget Prime 4.
Yep. 2019.
2019. I think so as well. All right. I think we have dwelled on the drought quite long enough. So I'm going to wrap it up here. So thank everyone for joining us tonight. Special thanks to Barry for joining us again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good to have you on.
Yeah.
Fun to be here.
So, if you're listening out there in Nintendo land, thanks for sticking with us. And as always, you can check us out on iTunes and Stitcher, and right here on YouTube where we do all the recording. And of course, you can hit us up on Twitter, say hi, let us know you're listening, and we're always glad to hear feedback. So have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Can I say micropenis one more time?
Yes.
Okay,
No.
I just did. Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night all.